All right. This meeting will now come to order. I will read the EPSB mission statement. The Educational Professional Standards Board, in full collaboration and cooperation with its education partners, promotes high levels of student achievement by establishing and enforcing rigorous professional standards for preparation, certification, and responsible and ethical behavior of all professional educators in Kentucky. Serving as board secretary is Sharon Chesser. Ms. Chesser, please call the roll.
Amanda Ellis,
Present.
Michael Yoder,
Present.
Scotty Collar,
Present.
Elizabeth Dinkins,
Present.
Elijah Edwards, Kathy Gunn,
Present.
Priscilla Keller,
Present.
Jacqueline Mayfield,
Present.
Lori McKean,
Present.
Justin Mitchell,
Present.
Corinne Murphy,
Present.
Nicholas Pace,
Present.
Meredith Pittman, Lisa Rosinski,
Present.
Vice Chair Fryer,
Present.
Chair Snell.
Present.
We have quorum.
Thank you so much. The Commissioner of Education, Dr. Robbie Fletcher, joins us this morning as Executive Secretary to the EPSB. We'll now recognize Dr. Fletcher to give his report.
Well, I have, thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I have a lot of things I could report on, including maybe an awesome visit to a Northern Kentucky school that has a very excellent math teacher. We won't mention any names. But again, no, seriously, I had an excellent visit to Beechwood. It was a great opportunity to see their profile of a learner at work and what they do each and every day. So, Mr. Fryer, a lot to be proud of there at Beechwood. I really enjoyed the visit.
We're very happy to have you up there.
Yeah, thank you so much. Also, too, one of the favorite things I get to do as commissioner is recognize Kentucky Teacher of the Year. Actually, this is my second year getting to do this, of course, and then I call all 9 candidates that are finalists and to talk to them. And I've shared this before in other meetings, but my favorite response is, "Shut up." Now, it wasn't from our Kentucky Teacher of the Year, but one of the others did tell me, "Shut up" twice, as a matter of fact. And it was wonderful, but again, total disbelief. And then you're the commissioner of what? Education. Shut up. No. But with that being said, it's a great opportunity to talk to the teachers that, just a sample of the great teachers that we have across our Commonwealth. But today I get the honor of introducing our Kentucky Teacher of the Year, and that's Miss Michelle Gross. Before I go into a little bit of her bio, I always try when they're announcing at the actual ceremony, I try to watch family members and even their superintendent. And I'll start off, I was watching their superintendent and her son and her husband were all in one little area. And so I see the superintendent, he's absolutely joyful. Then he goes, it's like, okay, I'm thrilled that I have the Teacher of the Year, but now what am I going to do for 6 months? And they're on a sabbatical to do some work. So again, a lot of joy. But you could also see Miss Gross's son, like, look at her dad, and I was trying to read lips, and he's like, "That's Mom." That's it was that they were reading her bio before they announced her name, and he was looking, and then it was just that sheer awe. So the joy of that evening and be able to see that within the family is awesome. But a little more about Miss Gross. She is a mathematics teacher at Spencer County Middle School. So I did a visit there last year, really enjoyed my time. But she was named the Teacher of the Year, the 2026 Teacher of the Year in Frankfort here on October 7th. And Ms. Gross has 22 years of teaching mathematics of experience, and thank you for that, including 20 years at Spencer County. She teaches 7th grade math classes and a gifted and talented class called the Academy, where students pick a subject area to dig in deeper. So if I may, Ms. Gross, would you care to have a few words?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And I'm glad I didn't tell you to shut up, but we did talk about not leaving Harlan County alive. And I had an opportunity to go back over fall break to Harlan County and visit Eastern Kentucky. And it's just, coming from the roots that I came from, where community is so strong, that was my goal when we moved to Spencer County. We actually moved to Louisville to begin with, not knowing anyone, having to kind of start over building community. And so it has taken years, but just watching the community wrap themselves around the students, the teachers, it's just been such a joy. And I know that the only reason why I get to be in front of you all today is because of the community. that has surrounded me. And that is the hope that I have is to not only represent Spencer County and Kentucky by sharing how I use community to build community in my classroom, but also how building community helps teachers thrive, feel accepted, feel noticed, and feel seen. So it's a goal of mine this year is to just really showcase how important community is.
Thank you so much. And again, I really enjoyed the evening. And of course, there's always the inside joke whenever you meet with someone from Harlan County. If you know the song, like for example, we have a basketball player at UK that has the walkout song. A pitcher on my son's baseball team has the walkout song. You made it. You'll never make it out of Harlan alive. So, and again, we actually played football as a opposing school there, and I actually stood up and cheered for the other team when that song played. So it was something else. So, but again, Ms. Gross, really enjoyed that time, enjoyed the getting to talk to you on the phone, and thank you for not telling me shut up. But also, too, really enjoyed meeting your family and just the pride that they had, and just it's amazing to see the people around, not only you, but all 9 of our teachers, and having that opportunity to be with them that night. So thank you again for your service, and congratulations. So if we can give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I would love to stay longer, but I've got some kids coming back in just a few minutes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, next on our agenda, we do have Chair Sharon Porter Robinson from the Kentucky Board of Education to offer a report from the Kentucky Board of Education. Dr. Robinson.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much, Chair Snell. Thank you for the collaborative work we've been doing together. It has been so engaging and so affirming. I'm happy to report on our October 1 and 2 board meeting. And as I report, you will note EPSB is prominent on our agenda, I'm happy to say. First, I'm going to report on our board goals, which we adopted. The board's top goal remains fostering vibrant learning experiences, one of the core pillars of the United We Learn vision for Kentucky schools. But in order to do this, we have identified 2 areas of focus: one, to support educators in designing and implementing engaging, real-world, content-rich experiences that inspire active student participation and meaningful application of knowledge. And 2, to strengthen the education workforce through enhanced collaboration with the Education Professional Standards Board and the Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education. Board members plan to prioritize the recruitment, retention, and diversification of the educator workforce to enrich the teaching and learning experience and the educational environment for all students. The board aims to advance education innovation and excellence through continued support and of the development and implementation of an accountability system that values innovative teaching and vibrant learning experiences. And we intend to promote continuous improvement through community-based accountability measures and advance statewide efforts for high-quality instructional resources, especially in numeracy and literacy. As a new focus area, the board is exploring opportunities for high school transformation across the Commonwealth, transformation that will be aligned with our workforce development strategies. KBE members also plan to prioritize collaborative partnerships with various education stakeholder groups, including families, policymakers, community members, and groups and agencies such as the EPSB, along with the development of metrics to measure how successful the board is in accomplishing its goals and legislative priorities. During the meeting, the KBE approved the creation of special committees as a part of the EPSB and KBE Research Practice Collaborative to gather insights from Kentucky education stakeholders on what drives educator retention, why mid-career teachers leave, and how vibrant classroom learning environments, especially in literacy and numeracy, may be an influence on teacher satisfaction and career persistence. If we go now to our legislative priorities, the list of 2026 legislative priorities approved by KBE include advocating for legislative backing to promote the reimagined assessment and accountability systems, including innovative approaches to measuring student success. Further supporting the funding of key initiatives such as professional development associated with the Numeracy Counts Act, the Read to Succeed literacy coaches, universal preschool, full-day kindergarten, more support for high-quality instructional resources, funding for the Kentucky Education Technology System, and ongoing support for school safety efforts. KBE members singled out efforts to support the educator workforce in collaboration with EPSB and CPE to update educator preparation programs and the continued advocacy for teacher scholarships and additional mentoring to improve the attractiveness and retention in the teaching profession. We intend to address funding inequities in career and technical education by including the CTEs and by including area technology centers in the CTE funding formula and increasing CTE funds. Working with KDE and advisory councils, we intend to explore areas where facilities funding can be improved. In other board business, importantly, we conducted the evaluation of our commissioner, Robbie Fletcher, and let's just say it was glowing. And we also established a new set of goals and an evaluation plan for 25-26. Further, we made amendments to the non-traditional instructional programs to provide additional definitions in the regulation, clarity on how districts collect evidence of student learning, and we broadened the list of items that count as evidence of learning. There were several other regulatory amendments, including a statement of consideration regarding non-school bus passenger vehicles, and we approved, extended the several regulations that were due to expire because they were outdated. We presented the 2025 Kelly Award for Business and Education Partnerships to the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters. And we heard an update from the Unified Champion Schools initiatives from Special Olympics Kentucky. Two very inspiring presentations. KBE is now accepting nominations through November 10 for the 2025 Kevin C. Brown Strategic Priority Award. This year, we are seeking nominations to recognize public school districts, and individuals demonstrating a strong commitment to developing and implementing a localized accountability system. Additional information regarding the nomination is available on Kentucky Teachers, and that award will be presented during our February 2026 meeting. The next regular meeting of KBE will be held on December 3rd and 4th. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions, knowing that you have a quite full agenda. Thanks again, Chair Snell, for this opportunity.
I don't have a question, but what I briefly saw of the NTI updates as a active classroom teacher, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that.
I also have a comment. Thank you for prioritizing career and technical education, especially in including the ATCs in the funding matrix. They desperately need that.
Great.
Any other comments? I'll make a quick comment. As you look at, one thing is, as you heard, the commissioner was evaluated in the last meeting. But I will say, from my interview through my first year, through my evaluation, well, how I was interviewed and the priorities and the initiatives that the board presented in my interview and I presented back have been very consistent. Sometimes you interview for a job and you get one message, and then as you go through, you find out something different. Our board has been very consistent on their priorities, on their goals of vibrant learning, of innovation and collaboration throughout. That is the theme. Those are the pillars that go throughout our decision making. So I'm very thankful for that. Also, too, in our legislative priorities, something that you may hear more and more about, we are promoting a statewide application for educators. So, for example, if someone's in Central Kentucky and they apply for a high school mathematics job, they can send that to Muhlenberg County, or they could send it to Greenup County to have that one universal application. Of course, districts can, after they submit that, can ask for additional information, but to have that one application that's throughout the entire state for teachers, we think is very important.
Will that work with the references too?
We would work to make sure it would work with the references, but again, as we go through and try to develop this, we would ask for input of what exactly would be some attributes we'd like to have. So again, I think that's one small avenue that we could have. As a matter of fact, the funding's there. We don't have to ask for additional funding. The funding's there. It's just a matter of, can we utilize the funding for that? So again, a lot of things that are going on. That's just one of the small things, but again, very excited about the work with our new accountability model proposal and the local accountability that is working. You see pockets of excellence that are already throughout our Commonwealth, but our goal is, how do we spread that so it's no longer just pockets of excellence, it's just what we do as a Commonwealth. And again, we're very excited about the headway there. And the meetings, as a matter of fact, I have 2 meetings with senators today to talk about the accountability model proposal, so very excited about that. Anything else, Chair Robinson, before we move on? Anything you'd like to add?
Well, I want to certainly assure EPSB that our collaborative efforts have really brought a lift to the board as it relates to how we engage and get this thing done on behalf of our students. Collaboration is a word that we use so often, but making it real, as we're doing through our research efforts and our shared advocacy efforts and just sharing information and keeping each other apprised, has really made a lot of questions kind of roll away, and people are rolling up their sleeves to get busy to get the work done. So thank you again for this opportunity to work in a more enhanced way on behalf of issues essential to the needs of our Commonwealth and the needs of our students.
Thank you so much, Chair Robinson. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson.
Okay, next we have Mike Yoder from the Education and Labor Cabinet. Will we give us a report from the Cabinet, please?
What would you like to hear?
Any efforts that are going on? Anything that you'd like to highlight that's going on with the Cabinet?
Yeah, we've got a lot going on. In Department of Workforce Development, obviously, we are affected by the shutdown. So a lot of things are paused at the moment. But we have seen a lot of collaboration across the state, and that's been incredibly helpful. When we think about workforce, we think about how do we streamline workforce development for companies? How do we make it easier for companies to navigate to access the talent that they need? And we really have seen that partnership with CPE. We've seen it with the CTE programs. We want to make sure that that is a source of talent that can go to a company, and the company has the skill set that they need in that talent. So that's been a huge win for us, and it's included the chamber, education partners. It's included economic development, which has been a key driver of that. So we're really excited about that partnership. We've seen a lot of movement in the Kentucky adult ed space as well, thinking through what does that look like for those measurable skill gains, and how do we do that with early adult ed, and making sure that we have that talent. So we are excited about Everybody Counts as well, the governor's initiative there. We're making sure that seniors have a pathway. So we've seen expansion with pre-ETs in that space. So a partnership between the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation and Everybody Counts, making sure that students have that pre-employment transition service, so that regardless of where you are, what you want to do, if it's a career, if it is college, we want to make sure that you have the pathway forward. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of partnership, but a lot of consternation at the same time as we deal with some of this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Yoder? One of the things I will highlight as we talk about partnerships with businesses, one of the portions of, or one of the sections, if you will, of the new accountability proposal requires districts to collaborate with their local communities. How are we meeting the workforce needs for our county, for our region, for our area, but to have that a part of the accountability model for that district. So more than just a pencil paper test, how are we working with our local business leaders to make sure we're meeting their workforce needs? You can see a lot of examples of this throughout the Commonwealth already. I'll say Shelby County. You also have Fleming County. You also have Greenup County that really have some strong partnerships with their local businesses. So again, that's part of our local accountability proposal that we're looking forward to as we move forward. So with that being said, another good partner, a great partner with the Kentucky Department of Education is the Council on Post-Secondary Education. And as always, we're welcoming Dr. Amanda Ellis.
Good morning. So good to see everybody. And in the vein of collaboration, we have a lot of great work going on. Last week, Dr. Thompson and I had the opportunity to present to the Interim Joint Committee on Education about dual credit. And we always ask, is it worth it? We have a huge investment of time. Our higher ed puts in a lot of time for recruitment. I know K-12 works a lot around schedules and making it happen. And so I just want to give you a few things that we were able to share. The month before, Kia shared the huge dollar amount that Kentucky invests in it. And so the question was, so is it worth it? Are we being good stewards? And I can tell you that we are. So from 1920, there were 34,900 students enrolled in dual credit. It's taken a 41% increase to 23-24 to 49,000 students, 49,076 students with 315,000 credit hours earned. Huge gains in this, and this is not more of the same. So if you may or may not remember, we tend to carry it with us. Kentucky was the first state to set an attainment goal for dual credit because we know the impact. We had done research in 2020 and 2021 about the impact, especially with low income and with our minority students actually exceed their peers in success in matriculating to post-secondary training education, whether that's 2-year, 4-year, short-term, or advanced degrees, and they sustain longer. And so we knew that there was impact, but we didn't realize how much. So as we dug deeper, dual credit attempters average a 2.9 GPA in their first year for those who did not even attempt at a 2.3. Their average unmet need as a dual credit attempter was $4,351, whereas if they did not attempt at all, it's $6,033. So there's a savings in that. And then the credit hours earned, or attempted, in that first year was 14 credit hours for dual credit versus non-attempters, which barely get over 12. It's 12.9. And that's across Kentucky. And so we started to look at a predicted probability of students matriculating into a post-secondary training or school, and it's 19 percentage points higher if a student attempted dual credit. And so this is really changing mindset on access and ability and the opportunity to take advanced level courses. The other piece we looked at is retention. So a lot of our folks would say, well, that's great, you got them there, but are they staying? Like, are they coming in, they're earning debt, and they're quitting? And actually, those who were a dual credit participant are retained for a second year at 78.9%, compared to those who are non-participant, which is at 66.3%. So it does show positive impact on students beyond them taking those courses. And that is combined with career and technical education dual credit courses and general education courses. And we got the question of which one is taken more, and we say really it's a combination. Students are wise. As many of you know, the dual credit scholarship pays for a total of 12 courses. So there's 8 career and technical education courses they can take for free of charge from freshman year through senior year. And they can take right now in the budget language, and I am hoping it stays, 4 gen ed courses starting in their junior year. That's for the dual credit scholarship. They can take it before that, and that depends on the agreements the districts have with the institutions. But removing that financial barrier is really helping out. When we talk to students, because that's what matters, is, okay, you have dual credit. What does that mean for you? Are you getting finished faster? I'm thinking faster. Very few said that. Many of them said, I can actually add a minor and still get out in 4 years, or 2 minors. Another one said, I'm first generation, I'm very overwhelmed leaving my family, so I don't have to take 15 or 17 credit hours. I can take a little bit less, still be successful, and I'm still on track to graduate in 4. That's from our students in Kentucky. Excuse me. So great work around that, great collaboration. It takes the work of everybody. I will tell you what we're doing right now is Representative Payne got a bill passed last spring that really pushes in on the courses that are allowable through dual credit scholarship. So it is not random. It is not courses that are not an equivalent course that transfers. They all transfer, but they don't always transfer to an equivalent course. And so we're taking a deep dive on looking at that collectively. Not one person is looking at those and checking the boxes. We're just collecting on what's being offered and making sure that it really is a highly transferable and as much as possible equivalent course. And almost all of them are, truly. And so I really applaud our campuses for that. That's a lot of work. But it is worthy of the work. So I wanted to share that with you. Also wanted to let you know we're over 28,000 users. Those are Kentucky users for Futurity. So the work that's coming ahead, I don't have an exact date because our meeting's on Thursday, but we will have apprenticeships aligned to the Future Finder, so to the careers in Kentucky, the apprenticeships that are available thanks to the cabinet that we work so well with and have that data. We're also still working through the scholarships, great partnership with Kia. And if you've ever opened up the 400-page, what they call the scholarship Bible, that's not always super friendly, we are making that into a database, and they're being great partners with allowing us to use that information. We're also reaching out to our campuses because they offer so many things that I think are overlooked, and opportunities and deadlines. And so we're trying to get the word out for our campuses, public, private, 2-year, 4-year, doesn't matter. And then we're also working on updating our lifestyle calculator to have Kentucky-specific data, not national data. National data does not match Kentucky data. And so we're looking for that to really be able to plan your lifestyle. Because when you look at a number and you think, wow, that's a whole lot of money, it may not be able to feed your family depending on where you live and what your lifestyle is and what you are responsible for paying. So we're working on those pieces and very excited. And the last couple of things I want to share with you is just a reminder that November 17th, we're having our inaugural Student Access Summit. It is the precursor to our Student Success Summit. So they are different, but one plays into the other. We are really excited that we have K-12 and higher education that are represented, and that area is truly focused on access for early exposure to careers and post-secondary opportunities for middle school and high school, looking at that transition space, looking at effective partnerships between higher ed and K-12 to open up the doors to true access, and how can we start to build stronger connections and relationships to really smooth out that transition pipeline. And so we're excited. We are almost at capacity, but we still have about 30 plus spots open. We're going for 275 this year in hopes of going bigger next year. We'll be posting our sessions, which will be delivered by Kentucky folks doing really great work. Many of our campuses and K-12 systems submitted session proposals. We were thrilled. We had 12 and we had 23 submit. For first year, we're pretty glad about that. So check that out if you haven't. And then the last thing I'll bring up to you that we're pretty excited about is many of you know that we look at deeply at student population. Whether you agree or disagree, there is a performance funding for our public institutions, and they focus on low-income, first-generation, and adult learners. And so we are really leaning in on support around those specific populations that we don't see to be represented as much on our campuses. We're already seeing huge gains in adult education or adult learners, excuse me. But one of the populations that we have not talked much about is our special education population. And it is a very, very, very small percentage of students who matriculate. And it's a missed opportunity. And so we have been reaching out to the resource directors on our campuses to get feedback. Because they don't know the students who come into their campus unless the students self-advocate and come forward for help. But I will tell you, as we meet with the directors of special education, who are fantastic resources and advocates for students in our districts, they are not aware of the resources campuses offer. We've been to CKEC and to share, and they are very interested in getting to the table with higher ed and going, what do you even offer? We don't know what you offer. They are aware of the ADA accommodations. They are not aware of TRIO and other wraparound services that are available. And so very open to coming to the table. And so we're going to Northern Kentucky and OVEC in November, and we're trying to get to all of them in front of the directors of special ed and really appreciate their willingness. And our resource directors on the campuses are just as excited. Both of them are saying, we don't really know who to talk to, and we know there's a transition plan that we could be a part of early on, but we're not sure how to. And the transition coordinators say, we're not sure who to talk to. And so there's this missing link, but not an unwillingness to connect those dots. So we are very excited, and we'll be opening up the opportunity for a community of practice to start bringing these folks together. And I think it's an untapped resource of willing people who really advocate for all to be educated, trained, and to be able to pursue their careers that they're interested in. So I will conclude with that, and thank you for your time.
Any questions for Dr. Ellis or any comments?
A comment, if I could, on the last one. Oh,
Please.
sorry. Hold on. So awesome that we're moving in the direction of considering special education and how we transition folks into university settings. As you all move forward, I would offer that the consideration of faculty readiness to address accommodations within classrooms.
Yes.
And not really accommodations, but modifications.
That's right.
No, wrong. Anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because at this point, the faculty base is one that is not necessarily a pedagogical base. They learn it as they come to university and will have those experiences. Not everyone is a teacher and a special educator on a campus, and so they will need support in that in order for our students to be successful.
I so appreciate you saying that. That was something that was brought from the resource directors from the campuses. And one of the questions that we had just asked is, do you feel supported, or what would you need to support efforts? Because the other conversation has come up with even mental health and how that is ramped up on campuses, but then also just the view in of meeting those individual needs is not something typical, especially when you have large classes or different settings. And so that was actually an identified piece of capacity building, because that is different. And I appreciate you saying that, because it's not an easy piece. And there's so many unknowns about how it's addressed, very different in K-12 world than higher ed So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I'll make two comments before we turn it over to our next report. First of all, if you've had the opportunity, and many of us in the room have had the opportunity to talk to Dr. Thompson, it's hard to sit in a room with him for less than 10 minutes and not at least get 3 statistics.
That's true.
So, and one of the statistics that, and all of them are about the positive things that are going on in Kentucky. One of the things that really struck me, and I guess it's kind of a statistic kind of goes under the radar, is the average time of completion for a 4-year degree of a student is at 4.1 years.
Correct.
In other words, it's taking our students on average 4 years to complete a 4-year degree.
That's right.
Think about how much, and it was much higher.
It was
Dual
higher.
credit, it was
Yes.
much higher. And think about how much money that's saving students, think about the completion rates. There's so many things that speaks to. So I want Dr. Thompson always paints the story, a great picture of what's going on in Kentucky, but it gives the statistics behind it to show that.
That's right. I have those, of course, but I didn't share them.
Absolutely, absolutely, without a doubt. And then the other thing, I'll make a comment, dual credit is another great example of collaboration. If you think about, one of the things I think has been one of the best things that we've done in our accountability model over the past 10, 15 years is include dual credit completion, a successful completion in the accountability model. Because now that becomes more of a focus for our schools to say we want each student to have at least one dual credit opportunity, successful opportunity. And then the statistics of 19% greater completion rates, things of that nature, that really contributes to it. But also, too, the funding that our General Assembly has put into dual credit. And then, of course, the work from our post-secondary institutions to make sure that it's possible for our students to have these opportunities, not only just time, but also having faculty that's teaching that and taking on students. So again, a great collaborative effort there that's really exemplified in the dual credit arena. So thank you for that, Dr.
Thank
Ellis.
you.
Yeah. Our next report comes from the Office of Educator and Licensure Effectiveness, our very own Dr. Meredith Brewer.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I always like to start out with highlighting access on our website. So if we can go to the next slide, please, Sharon. Okay, next slide. So very excited to report that we have hit over 1 million events, 1.1 million now. And so that means interactions on the website when people go to click on certain pages. Always like to point out that bounce rate. I've been told that that is very excellent percentages that we have, particularly around certification for individuals who are looking for information to help with their certification journey. They can find that on our website. So we're super excited that we continue to have frequent new visitors coming to the website, as well as individuals who are coming to get the information they need to remain fully certified, which is, of course, our goal. Next slide, please. We love to talk about our Go Teach KY ambassadors, and we did just recently have them at Sauer as we launched the next cohort. We have 24 new ambassadors across the Commonwealth. They have a really important job in support of Go Teach KY. They are asked to speak to their colleagues about the teaching profession, to their students, and they also attend events in their region to help promote the teaching profession through a variety of methods. So not only just advocating from their own personal stories, but also creating opportunities to engage with Educators Rising chapters and with our teaching and learning pathway, whatever we can do to help push out the message that the teaching profession is an outstanding option for a lot of our students. So if you go on to the Kentucky Teacher website, you can see the full article about our Go Teach KY ambassadors, as well as the names and schools of all of our new cohort. Okay, next slide. Very excited to share the first EPSB annual report. You all have a copy of it. I know we shared an electronic version, but wanted to get you a hard copy as well. So this report highlights the accomplishments of the EPSB in the Office of Educator Licensure and Effectiveness for the past academic year. We were able to distribute hard copies of the report to legislators during a recent visit to the Capitol. Chair Snell and Vice Chair Fryer were able to meet with several legislators, and it was helpful to have this resource so we could point to specific talking points. Just for some quick guidance as to what you will find contained within, we obviously are highlighting the mission and goals of EPSB, but we also have some important statistics around our educator preparation, as well as certificates that have been issued. And then on the last page, we do have some information around educator ethics. Those are numbers that our legal team provided, and we thought it was good to sort of have those in a permanent spot so that we can have that reference point as well. So congratulations to all of you for your hard work that we were able to immortalize in print. We're happy that we have those copies. Next slide. Speaking of educator certification, our certification team is now on the other side of the busiest season of the year. So we know that the summer into September is the time we have the most applications to be processed. And this is actually a 24-month overview. You can see that we follow a pretty consistent pattern. So that is very exciting that they have made it through another busy season, and they have been able to utilize KEX to process certificates very quickly. I know I shared last time, we have less than a one-day turnaround on certification applications when they are submitted. Relatedly, I did provide a copy of our educator shortages report that we submitted to the Legislative Research Commission. This report sort of supplements the KEPS report that we are statutorily mandated to provide. This data is representative of a survey that we sent to all school districts to ask about vacancies as of September 1 of this year. This is the real-time data that we really can't provide from KEPS. We know that KEPS has some administrative constraints that make it hard for us to get a number that we feel is truly representative of vacancies, whereas this survey is directly tied to a particular time period, and they can report about vacancies at that point. So it is helpful for us to have this data as well. We are, thanks to Dr. Fletcher's support, able to say that we had 100% participation in the survey. In all of my years doing surveys, I have yet to have 100% response rate, but we did for this survey, so that's very exciting. So this is all of our 171 school districts, as well as the area technology centers, Kentucky School for the Blind, and Kentucky School for the Deaf. So if you have a chance to look through this report, you'll see that we do still have some areas that we need to improve on, particularly with our classified staff. We know that districts continue to struggle to have enough support staff and transportation support, and we know that those are critical team members. We also do ask districts to give us some insight into how they plan to address vacancies, and that information is captured in the report. The majority of our districts intend to keep pursuing that certified applicant. They're trying to fill those vacancies, but many do have to put a long-term sub in if they have a vacancy that needs to be filled. We also ask about quality of applicants, and you can see the distribution of responses there around quality of applicants and the number of qualified candidates. Happy to report that the majority of our districts, 79%, so that they do not intend to cancel any classes because of these vacancies. And we think that that's a really important data point, because we know that when classes have to be canceled, it reduces opportunities for our students to have exposure to those content areas. I will say that when this survey, a similar survey, was administered last year, there was only one district that reported having no vacancies. And this year we did have 34 districts that said as of September 1 they were fully staffed. So that is a promising improvement. Next slide. I want to conclude with this exciting and celebratory note. We want to say congratulations to Eastern Kentucky University and Lindsey Wilson University. They recently were awarded the 2025 CAPE Frank Murray Leadership Recognition for Continuous Improvement. The Frank Murray Award is provided to educator preparation programs that submitted a comprehensive body of evidence, demonstrated positive data trends, and had no stipulations or areas for improvement. And I have been told that this is a rare feat, and to have two in Kentucky is truly an honor. So we want to make sure that we recognize these amazing EPPs for their hard work in maintaining high standards. And we will hear from Dr. Neal from Lindsey Wilson University later today for her to spotlight their program. So that concludes my report. Happy to entertain any questions. Yes.
Surprised I am.
So in the context of and I looked at the questions that were sent out for the survey, do we at any point ask districts the use of third-party providers for science or math instruction?
We have not, so
Have gone into that?
not on this survey. So anecdotally, we know that Todd's certification structure work group is considering some changes around content bans for certification. And I know that he has asked questions around how are you staffing those positions that we know are really hard to fill, but that is not something that we have included or have any kind of solid data on at this time.
May offer that as a friendly suggestion that that's a worthwhile question.
I think that would be a key part of our work group information that we could get that out. Great suggestion. Thank you for that.
I have a question, Meredith, and just about the clarity of the data. So of the 401 emergency certificates issued this year, that's data that is separate, that's not included in the certified vacancies, right? If the vacancy's been filled with an emergency certification,
That's correct.
we count it as filled.
That's correct. So the way that we
Yeah.
view an emergency certificate, that is a valid credential for the position for which the emergency certificate is issued. So they are not counted as vacant. But we do want to still include that number because in those situations, an emergency certified individual is not the most ideal candidate for that position because they don't have the exact credential for that area.
Right, and they would be separate than the option 6 credential, for example.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
that's good to know. Thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to say thank you to you and to your team and everybody in the department for all of the hard work for the website, for the promotion of the profession, for the legislative report, for all of it, for all of the hard work that goes into elevating our profession and this board and the work that we do. So thank you to all of you all.
It's an honor. We enjoy our work very much, and there's nothing more important to us than advocating for the teaching profession. We're happy to serve. So thank you very much.
Final comment on this from me. A little disappointed in Dr. Brewer's presentation. There was no mention of Diego. No mention whatsoever of Diego.
It was so cute. I was sad not to see his face.
And for those of you who don't know, Diego is our AI that we're using to answer questions when it comes to certification that Dr. Brewer and also our OET folks have designed and has been, we've soft rolled that out so far, looking at making that maybe a bigger part. But again, trying to make sure that we meet the needs and the questions of people that are out there in a timely fashion. So we want to make sure we do that. But to echo, the team in OELE and so many parts across our department, they're here to serve. And they're here to serve our educators, and they're here to serve our students. And that was very evident to me in the very first 2 days of being a commissioner. So I do want to thank our team for that work. Thank you so much. Todd, Cassie, Meredith, and everyone else, part of OELE, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. With that, that does conclude anything that I have, unless there's any questions for me. Hearing none, I'll turn it back over to our chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Fletcher. Ms. Chesser, has anyone signed up for open speak?
No.
All right. To highlight the amazing work that is taking place in educator preparation at our Kentucky colleges and university, I will again open my report with the EPP Spotlight. Today, Dr. Neal from Lindsey Wilson University joins us to share some of the work taking place at Lindsey Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and congratulations.
Good morning. Thank you so much for providing us the opportunity to share here. It is, I want to say, shut up. But I know that we can't do that.
Oh, yes, you can.
You wouldn't be the first.
It is a true honor to be here today to spotlight our university. If you'll go to the next slide, please. One of the things I want to start out with is we were Lindsey Wilson College until July 1st, and we are now Lindsey Wilson University. But one of the things that we really want to make sure everybody understands is that even though we have a new look, we have the same mission. Our motto is every student, every day. And one of the things I've heard all morning, and it hit me kind of funny, is community. All morning I've heard community, vibrant learning, passion. That's what you're going to hear throughout my presentation this morning. is that we are committed to every student every day. And that seems like, how can you do that? Well, we're very small, so we can do that. I know every one of my students in every one of my programs by name. I know their face, and I know some of their personal issues where they need support that doesn't have anything to do with college, but that college life. So we are living our motto every day. We are a member of the Appalachian College Association, and I want to give a little shout out to them because we get to go and train with them, teacher leader institutes and teaching institutes, and they are a very strong partner with us. So we get a lot of really great support from them. We do have a large percentage of first-generation college students. We do not worry about baseline ACT scores. So we have first-generation college students with low ACT scores. So we come in with a very interesting group of students that we have to meet where they are. We also have a large international reach of 40-plus countries represented. So there are also really interesting aspects to having international students try to get teaching certification. Next slide, please. This is our LWC EdFam. One of the things that CAPE required for us to do is to recruit within our education programs, not just from our college or our university. And that took me by surprise. I've been in this role for 7 years. I've been at Lindsay for 9 years. I was a third grade teacher before that. And so one of the things that really struck me was there are 5 of us. How do you recruit and retain and do all of the PR and do the teaching and do all of the other things? But as you see in the picture there, I don't know if you can see, one of our students has her baby. This is what we do. It's just what we do. And so we build community, we build trust, we build safety in our LWC EdFam. Next slide, please. So the reason that I was asked to present today is because we were honored with the Frank Murray Leadership Recognition for Continuous Improvement. And this is a little blurb from, we have one of the best PR departments. I'm just gonna brag about them because they're amazing. Every time something happens in our institution, they celebrate it. And this is just a little snippet from their celebration. But before I move on, I have to thank EPSB, OELE, and all of you, but the people behind me. Because when you're a third grade teacher and you move into a leadership role in an EPP and you have no idea what you're doing, and you can turn around and ask these people the dumbest questions. And they give you straight up answers and lead and guide and share and help you walk that path. I tell them all the time I'm a Gold Star girly. I think anybody that has been in education, or especially elementary education, we just want those gold stars. We just want a gold star from. So I said, when I set out to lead this team through this and work with our partners here, that we wanted the gold star. And we got that, and it is a huge collaboration. It is a community effort, and it has absolutely nothing to do with me as a leader, but everybody working together at Lindsay. Next slide, please. So no AFIs and stipulations means that I can breathe again. One of the biggest things when I took this over is we did have AFIs, and we didn't have any stipulations, but we had AFIs, and I was like, that's not who we are. Lindsay turns out excellent students, excellent teachers, and I know that because I'm a graduate from Lindsay from 19. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we have a strong and solid foundation. So how do we do that? We started with our case studies. We're small. There are 5 of us, I said. All 5 of us go out and observe our teachers, our completers. We all go out and work with those first-year teachers on top of or next to the programs that the schools provide. So we know exactly what our completers are doing. We can come into a meeting and we can tell you what they're doing well, what their weaknesses are, what areas of improvement they need, and then we provide those for them. And I think being such a small institution really plays well for us, because even though it's a heavy lift, we do know everything we all know what's going on. And I think that's a strength of ours. We have strong relationships with our schools and our districts because of that. They know us. We're in there all the time. Family learning nights. Last week they had Hallow Read, and we were in there for that. They have Read Across the Dare. We have our superintendent from Russell County is one of our adjuncts. We just all pull together to provide the best programs for students. So when I hear you this morning talking about community, and I hear you talking about collaboration and the joy, and this is why we do what we do, it's the heart of what we do at Lindsey Wilson. It is. And we have positive support from our content faculty, our biology department, our math department, our English department, our history department, all work really hard to make sure they're aligned with the KAS and the Praxis and everything else that we need that is thrown in to the bathwater. And they're always talking with us. They're part of our teacher education advisory committee. That is helpful. When you can go to your content faculty and say, hey, I need a new class, or hey, I need you to help me figure out how to solve this Praxis failure problem. That collaboration is key for us. And the one other thing that I love to brag about Lindsey Wilson is that everything that the state requires from us is put into the coursework. There is not one thing that's left to chance for our students. So when they hit our teaching profession class to our student teaching, everything is embedded, so they know exactly what they're supposed to do and when they're supposed to do it. Next slide, please. Our biggest flex is our 100% pass rate, Praxis pass rate. This has been a huge, exciting, but very challenging goal for us in the last 7 years. And in 2022, we got a 100% pass rate. In 2022-23, one person failed one test in the elementary exam to get that 97% pass rate, and then did not go on to be a teacher. So 23, 24, 24, 25, we got a 100% pass rate again, and this is all due to the collaborative efforts of our team. We meet bi-monthly, and we look at all of the data of all of the students all of the time for all of the Praxis and figure out what they need and when they need it. And we just recently added a Praxis prep class so that if our students are not passing at the beginning of the semester in a particular class, by midterm, they enter into this Praxis prep program. So now we're being proactive instead of reactive. I ask students, why are you failing? I didn't study. So of course the mama bear in me was like, okay, I'm gonna make you study. And so they had to go to the library, or they had to go to our curriculum lab and sign in and study. And now we're being proactive. So it's a great, like I said, a great flex for us. This is really exciting times for us. Next slide, please. We are very small but mighty. If you look at I just wanted to share some of the wonderful things that happen. I think as teachers, this is what it's all about. Miss Judy Bradshaw in the first picture has been with us for 40 years. She's Mama Judy, and the students absolutely love her. She trained me, and she continues to train students, and she's absolutely amazing. Superintendent Michael Ford is one of our instructors, and he is also one of the best partners. I just have to give him a shout out. But our faculty, if you look, this is what our faculty do on the daily. They bring in all kinds of hands-on activities to teach students, because that's what we want, K through 12. We want to make sure that 12th grade students are still creating at the highest level of Bloom's. Next slide, please. So we want to talk a little bit about why we got to where we got, and it's always about continuous improvement. Even though we have no AFIs, we still have a list of things that we want to improve on. Program improvements, we want to maintain those strong partnerships with our school, with our admissions faculty and staff, with our constituents. We just want to make sure those relationships remain strong. I know assessment has been a huge point for everyone, and we have a portfolio and presentation stage system so that they don't just have to pass the praxis test, but they also present at 3 points within our stages so that they know when they go out, this is how you do an interview. This is how you are professional. These are the things that you pull from your classes to make sure that you are representing your whole person. So it aligns perfectly with what the schools are doing now. And we sit on those committees to make sure that their students are successful. Next slide, please. Our content faculty I already talked about. We got an NSF grant in 2022 for Elizabeth, what is it?
The noise grant?
Yeah,
Did
the
you get it
noise
for the
grant.
track 1 to build a
No,
program, or
before
track
that.
2 for
Building.
scholarships? The building
Yeah.
program?
Yeah, the building.
Capacity building grant?
Capacity building, thank you. We got the MAT, we got an MAT, I'm apologize for, I got so excited about everything that so we're looking at an MAT from the Noyce grant. We're trying to get option 6 because math and science, we just don't have any. And so we're continuing, even though we got that in 2022, we got a needs assessment for an MAT, and we're looking to continue all of that work and start an MAT option 6 program for that work. Also a literacy specialist or special education MAT, master's this year. We want to continue to reduce barriers for the cost of education. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was we did start 2 new teacher career pathways in Russell County and Adair County, and we also have the alternative. I'm going to move on. QAS, we have a new data manager who has a brand new system, who is fabulous. And so all of these things, I want to say, combine, and really the key here is just collaboration and passion for teaching and learning. We love our students. We want them to be the best because we want our kids, we want our grandkids, we want our great-grandkids to have the best education. But also because they're going to teach the kids that come to us someday, and they're going to teach the kids that are going to be us someday. So next slide, please. We are working on literacy continually. We've added 2 new literacy courses. We have removed extraneous courses. One of the things I love that we have done is we've created a lit lab. We've added extra field, not extra, but we've reallocated field hours so that our students get intentional and explicit field experience for each class. So for exceptional learner, they're going to get intentional experiences for exceptional learner. In literacy, they have a lit lab where they have to go in and do universal screeners and diagnostic testing and progress monitoring. So every class now has very targeted field experience hours. Next slide, please. So here's a little bit of what we've done with our literacy. Next slide, please. And we have a faculty member. Remember, there are only 5 of us, so everybody's on a committee. I'm on the literacy committee. Lisa Newell-Hare is on the numeracy committee. She was a 3rd, 4th grade teacher who is a math. She's a KET teacher of the year. She's amazing. And she's aligning all of our coursework to meet the assessment requirements. And she's also revising our foundational courses to meet those numeracy needs. So what we've seen using the data from the literacy is that it is working. So we're going to continue to move that through into our numeracy. Next slide, please. This is just a little spotlight. Is it on there? There's a little commercial. Okay, our PR department has worked tirelessly to help us spotlight education. And so I just wanted to close out with this little video that they shared of our faculty and our students and just how much we love where we're from. And I thank you again for the opportunity. So I'll end with this. Maybe. maybe not. I'm glad Todd didn't present today because his had been flawless.
I had a pre-service teacher in my classroom on Monday,
Mhm.
and you know, we were practicing second period for him to, you know,
Present.
lead in third
Yeah.
period, and as we are practicing, and technology did not work, right?
Yep.
And so you know, we're kind of filling the space a little bit. Then I was like, okay, we're going to pivot, do
We're gonna-
this, we're going to do this, and I was like, these are all the things that in your reflection of the lesson plan, you're going to bring
Exactly.
up how you have to do this.
Exactly. Let's talk about reflection. Absolutely. And so we can skip the video. It's totally fine. You can actually find this commercial video on our Lindsay Wilson Education website. But it was just a very nice little ending. Very nice.
And the volume's in the bottom right-hand corner, I think.
A job as student. Reason for that is we have a very high quality program. We have professors who care about our students. We have mentor teachers in the classroom who give and provide instruction for our students every single day. And there are also some great teacher scholarships and teacher loan forgiveness that is available to you. And we just can't wait to have you in our LW Ed Fam.
My time in the education program has impacted me a lot, and I think it has really helped me understand like what teachers really go through on a day-to-day basis. The staff all have unique experiences that help build great teachers.
As a student going through the program, I knew that my professors, that they had the absolute best in mind for me. They wanted success for me. They gave me grace at times when I needed it. And now being on this side of that and being an instructor here at Lindsay Wilson, I get to do the same thing.
One of my favorite things about the program and what makes it special to me is the amount of opportunities that we're given to be present in real classroom settings and to interact with students in the classroom. This has really helped me step into the role of being a teacher and given me a better idea of what that's going to look like in the future. I feel like I've heard my whole entire life that the best educators come out of Lindsay Wilson. The program here is rigorous and challenging, but we're given all of the help and support that we need along the way to be successful.
Thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak. Do you have any questions?
Just go ahead.
Yeah, just want to make a comment. Thank you, Chair Snell, for allowing that. First and foremost, Dr. Neal, there's a lot of things I could say very positive about what I've seen today, but one, it speaks volumes that you were a third grade educator and now you're in this role. So thank you for that, first and foremost. But also, too, it also speaks volumes of the people that you're hiring, not only as a former educator coming back into the educator prep, but also, too, I'll brag a little bit about Superintendent Ford. He's a high-quality educator, but he's also a high-quality person.
Yes, he is.
And so the caring that he gives the students of Russell County, I know he's going to have the same in the classroom there, too. So, again, those meeting you and knowing Dr. Ford, it speaks volumes about your program there. So thank you for that.
So much.
Anyone else? I will echo some of what Dr. Fletcher said, and while I think it is absolutely appropriate and wonderful that you give credit back to the team and everybody here at the department, I think it speaks volumes of you and your leadership. Everybody takes direction from the people in charge, and all of the accomplishments speak a lot about you as a person and your leadership at Lindsay Wilson. So congratulations. And thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Murphy recently shared that the Governor Louis B. Nunn Kentucky Teacher Hall of Fame will officially induct its 3 newest members on November 7th. The Hall of Fame was established in 2000 through a generous gift from former Governor Nunn, aimed at honoring the essential contributions of Kentucky's classroom teachers and their positive impact on the state's economy. This year's inductees will include the late Lois Chandler, Julie Cowan, and Jennifer Frisch. Please join me in congratulating these educators. Dr. Murphy, do you have anything you would like to add to that?
Just that the Hall of Fame is a permanent installation on our campus, and it is open to the public. So please come down to Bowling Green and have a look-see with your students. There is also a website presence for all inductees where you can learn about who they were to Kentucky and their long careers within education spaces. They're truly inspirational. We've had the opportunity to incorporate their work into our Discovery of Teaching class, our Teaching Fundamentals class, and would encourage everyone to consider, I think, to your point, Commissioner Fletcher, the good person nature is amazing to see within these particular individuals, so it's always a joy. And we had our own phone calls. We have one special guest this year that's a neighbor who helped us actually get connected to somebody who was not answering their phone. Literally walked up the street and they all share a name. So it's a very funny story. I won't go into it today, but come join us in November and then you can hear the story too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just wanted to quickly touch on, and I think this is the appropriate space, as October is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we hear from Michelle Gross and Chair Robinson and Dr. Neal about the importance of building community and how we do that in our schools, in our communities, in our EPP programs. Over the past couple of years, in having pre-service teachers come through my classroom, we've had some losses, right? We've had some deaths by suicide. We've had some early student deaths, and working with those pre-service teachers and them asking, how do you train for this? How do you prepare for this? And I don't know that there's an answer to that, but I know in my classrooms and in the schools that I have been in and serve, there continues to be an uptick in mental health needs. And as teachers, I feel like that burden rests a lot upon us as the first line of defense. And so I hope that in the EPPs, some of those conversations are being had, whether through the relationships that are being built with students or in specific classes about the things that you may not be prepared for, right? We learn how to teach reading, writing, arithmetic, but how do you guide through students that are coming back from a mental health visit? How do you guide through students who lost their classmate over the weekend? And I think that's important for us as pre-service educators to have an awareness about of what continues to come and just the reality of that situation, but also as current educators in the classroom, that burden that we can all feel at times. So our school specifically had shared some statistics that out of our about 2,200 student population, over 997 of our students did not live with their biological parents, both parents, or even one parent. Like there was foster care situations, grandparents. That's almost half of our student population. And I would be curious about that throughout the state. So just in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, right? Just bringing that to the forefront that literacy and numeracy is important, especially as a math teacher, but that community building that we are all working to do within our classrooms and within our schools and our communities is important as well. Thank you for your indulgence. We will now move on to consent items. Items A through P are listed on the agenda as consent items. I will give the members a moment to review the list. Does anyone wish to remove any of the items from the consent agenda for further discussion? Having received no request to remove the items from the consent agenda, can I have a motion to approve consent items A through P?
I make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Yoder. The motion before the board is to approve the consent items A through P. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. The board is now ready to review action items. These items are presented to the board for action and will require a motion and a vote. Action item A is presented by Ms. Cassie Trueblood.
Forget these chairs don't roll. Good morning. Action item A is a review of your legislative priorities. The board did discuss these at your last in-person meeting in August, and we made changes to those to go along with that. Again, this is, if you're in the meeting portal, this is action item A, and the supporting document is there. If you're in the agenda book, it's going to start on page 55. But this should look pretty similar to your priorities for the 25 legislative session. However, there were some updates made based on the discussions that you had in under the ethical educators. It was specifically spelled out your support for prohibiting non-disclosure agreements, and that goes back to the discussions of the support for the recurring bill that we have seen in past sessions from Representative Tipton to put a prohibition in place for those. Under mentoring and inductions, we did add the language to also include principals in those. Financial incentives clearly spells out your support for competitive teacher salaries. And then we have also added the language under the statutory cleanup to address those revisions to Senate Bill 181 from the previous legislative session. The calendar for the 2026 session is already out. It's getting very real. Day one starts on January 6th, and that runs all the way till day 60th on April 15th. Again, with the 60-day session, the focus is the budget, but there are a lot of other things that we do expect to see. At this time, I am happy to answer any questions that you may have. If there are none, we would ask the members to approve the legislative priorities so that we can provide these to Dr. Perry as he continues those conversations across the way.
It doesn't need to be changed because the legislative priorities look amazing as is. But I know we also have that fact versus myth sheet with the praxis exam, so just a continued emphasis of that messaging from our board.
I would just like to thank the department in your office for listening to us talk in these meetings and be able to compile our thoughts and our priorities into a document that I think represents us very well. Thank you.
We do always appreciate the conversation as well as the recording from our technology staff.
No questions. I just want to, again, for all the legislators watching this meeting, I'm sure of, just to go support the funding for mentoring and induction programs and to fully fund that so that we can retain those new teachers that are in the classrooms. I feel like I've been saying this over and over, so I want to continue to push for that. So thank you for the work.
Part two of saying that over and over. The other part would be to consider the importance of maintaining the EPP's participation in those induction programs in a formal way that would represent and reflect the years of preparation leading into those first years of transitioning to the classroom.
Agreed.
And only because Dr. Mitchell said it, for all the legislators that are clearly watching right now, I want to go on record too to just say how thankful Chair Snell and I are for all the meetings we've had over the past few months. And just a reminder that this entire board is happy and available to meet with any of our policymakers going forward. We're excited to work together for what's best for our Commonwealth.
Hearing no other questions or comments, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve action item A.
Thank you, Captain Rosinski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McKinnon. The motion before the board is to approve action item A. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Thank you so much for that. The board, I believe, is now ready to move into the waiver requests. No? Okay, I'm out of order. Just kidding, just kidding. I flipped too many pages. My bad. That happens. There we are. Got it. There we go. Next, we have action item B presented by Dr. Brewer.
Hello again. So we are excited to bring forward an opportunity under that same theme of partnership and collaboration. As a result of the joint meeting that you had with the Kentucky Board of Education, we heard that there was an interest in working together on a project of sorts that would give you a chance to dig into some particular topics around the educator workforce and make some joint recommendations for policy changes or different actions that each board could take to help support our educator workforce. And so what we are proposing is something that is called the EPSB and KBE Research Practice Collaborative, which is a big name that really is just an opportunity to join a small group, if you so choose, that will meet virtually starting in January. It will have a particular topic. It will align with the research questions that are included in the document. You'll do some independent work, come together as a group, have discussions and conversations around that topic, ask additional questions that our team will then go and research for you and bring back additional data to the meeting for you all to engage with. And then at the conclusion of those virtual meetings, each small group will make those recommendations to the larger set, and we will have a sort of final report that will come out in response to these research questions and what those recommendations are for future action. So just to sort of provide an overview of the document, the purpose is to gather insights from education stakeholders on what drives educator retention, why mid-career teachers leave, and how vibrant classroom learning environments, particularly in literacy and numeracy, influence teacher satisfaction and career persistence. And these questions that I'm about to go over did emerge from conversations that the chairs of both boards had around kind of what are topics that fall within, if you remember that Venn diagram, what is in that center space where both the EPSB and KBE have vested interest. And so we wanted to make sure that it was aligned within that space. So the three research questions that we identified, number one, why do educators choose to stay in the teaching profession long term? And what specific supports or conditions contribute most to their continued commitment? What are the primary factors contributing to mid-career teacher attrition in Kentucky? And what targeted strategies might help retain experienced educators during this critical phase of their careers? And how does creating and experiencing vibrant learning environments, especially in literacy and numeracy, impact educator satisfaction and support their long-term retention in the profession? So the proposed participants include members of KBE, members of EPSB, KDE staff, classroom educators, school and district administrators, EPP faculty, and other education-focused community stakeholders. So we're going to have this work roll out in 4 phases. Phase 1 will be the creation of those 3 small groups, again, aligned to those research questions. And for that portion, we would ask that you all consider those questions and which one is of greatest interest to you, and would you be willing to join one of the small groups? And if you are willing to do so, then that is something that you'll need to tell Cassie, and we will be sure to put you in the appropriate group. We're also going to be very thoughtful in ensuring that we have representation across the Commonwealth and with the different roles from the stakeholder groups that I mentioned. We'll also share with those groups that pre-reading and materials to sort of prepare for our meetings so that they can be the most productive. Phase 2 will be those small group meetings, again, looking to start in January. So hopefully we can have a full report by the spring. Phase 3 will be to take the work of those groups and those recommendations and synthesize them into the report. And then we will disseminate that report as Phase 4. And so we'll have presentations to both the KBE and EPSB and any other relevant groups. So the KBE at their meeting earlier this month did approve their participation in this collaborative. And so the question before you today is whether you would also like to approve and participate in this opportunity. In order to sort of streamline the process, the motion that is proposed to sort of have this action does have Chair Snell retain the authority to make recommendations for members. So if you are interested in participating and you let Cassie know, she will compile that list to provide to Chair Snell. And then the other members that we referenced will also be presented to Chair Snell as representative of EPSB and Chair Robinson as representative of KBE to then make the final decision on the membership of those groups. That'll just help us streamline the process a bit. So happy to entertain any questions about this. We realize that these are some big questions that we're asking. And so we're going to do what we can to pull together existing data like the impact survey that we have, which will be fielded again here in November. So we'll have that data available. But we're also interested in doing some new research, and we're going to be doing stay surveys, stay interviews. And that is something that we don't really have as much insight on, asking educators who are continuing to commit to the profession, what are those different interventions or dispositions that they may have that really encourage them to stay in the profession long term. So we'll have that data available for that group. And we also want to sort of think about what are some of the best practices that we already know about, and is there a way for us to more intentionally embed those in our policy actions? So lots of good work ahead of us, but we're excited about the product that will be available to us in the spring.
If I may, Chair Snell, thank you. We have a lot of data of why teachers leave the profession. I love the approach here to include that data, but also to say, why are you staying? And this has been mentioned in not only I think in this group, but also in other groups too. Is how do we focus on those that are people that are staying, why they're staying, and why that's happening. So again, to get that type of data and that type of approach is refreshing. So I do want to thank the work that's been put into those questions. Thank you so much. Now, of course, we can talk about vibrant learning the rest of the day too, if you'd like. But again, I do love the research questions that have been posed here.
I'm hesitant personally of it, and just a few things. I think the questions are good questions to think about. I'm concerned of a few things. So one, we've tried these meetings before and they've not been as successful in the past. So I'm concerned moving forward are they just going to be smaller groups of unsuccessful meetings because of just differences? Also, I'm just concerned about the process in which we get to the end of phase 4 and then we have recommendations and how those are delivered to the board. As do we have to accept as a whole? And then it's like, we may not agree with everything that has come up from those 3 individual groups or even recommendations within the individual group itself. And so I'm fearful this would be pushed through our board and in a way giving up the authority of EPSB through this joint statement or joint committee. I think this work is being done at the continuum level. So I'm not certain we have a continuum with, you are a co-chair, I believe, and Lieutenant Governor is, and Dr. Thompson is, and I feel like that's a lot of what I'm seeing here is the work that's already established and working on from that group. I could be wrong. I know I've worked with that group a little bit, and that you're a member of that, as well as the chair of KBE, I believe, is also on that board. So it just, in my mind, we already have a stakeholder or a group with all of these participant stakeholders already looking at these things. So those are some of the things and my thoughts that I'm hesitant to get on board with this.
I'll just add, I think the questions are great. right? The topic areas are certainly pertinent and relevant to what we need to be considering in a lot of ways. But they do echo of many of the conversations that have happened for several years now within the CEC, including the idea of charging certain groups with certain actions as a function of those considerations. I think within structures of state bodies and committee work, there is a tremendous amount of staff effort that has to go into supporting these and I've seen it. You know, there's pre-meetings, there's agendas, there's run-throughs, there's all of these iterations of what it takes to actually run public committee meeting structures like this. And I am hesitant to say, let's have another one that already echoes what is happening in a very constructive way. Now, these questions could be submitted to the CEC to say, we really need you to focus on this within the group that you have and then add more people, because they also have this great structure where they add lots of different temporary peoples who are not necessarily able to commit or who are very focused in one particular area of discussion. And so I would offer that there's some opportunities here, but I think that the place and the space to actually discuss them is within that continuum, and then expect charges to go to KBE or EPSB or KDE or whomever the charges from the CEC, which allows CPE a little bit more of a formative participating role in it as well. So some thoughts from the block.
I agree. I also wonder how are we going to select the participants? Who will be selecting them? The classroom educators, school administrators? How will we, as a board, have a role in selection of the membership outside of our own membership? And then secondly, I echo what you have said about there being committees already in place. I do like the research, and I do like designing something where we can find out from educators at all levels why they stay. The impact survey is really about their working conditions. And separate from that, I mean, it's related, but separate from that is about the employee themselves, their internal and external factors that either keep them in the profession, cause them to start looking out, or keep them in and pursue additional items. So I would like the focus to be on that specifically, whether we need so many external education-focused community stakeholders, et cetera, where I think there's already a platform for them, may be something that we'll need to consider.
It's like I'm looking
Everybody's
at you
looking
just
at me,
because the
but I'm
continuum's been
listening.
mentioned.
Yeah, so, we have worked on, because it's been a priority of the members, that we have a strong, highly competent workforce, because we are the foundation of all careers. And I didn't even mention one of the updates, but we recently started brainstorming with NCEE and our presidents, our campus presidents, the commissioner, of course, and just to start really thinking about how we move it forward and thinking ahead, futuristic, how do we think future forward, highly competent educators. And because it's, we talk a lot about constant recruitment, but this piece about retention and why, there's also a ton of research already out there about the why, and what we usually typically do at the continuum is that we do pull together an ad hoc. Dean Murphy was a co-lead with the lieutenant governor initially with that, and we had KY stats data and current research around retention and the teacher workforce, and that was even a few years ago, but we've kept it going. It's been such a priority. We go out regionally to conduct interviews. We had ESG help us formulate those and do the analysis of lived experiences. So to Lisa's point, it looks different in far west Kentucky than it does in Louisville, than it does in eastern Kentucky, and context matters. So I appreciate that, that difference. And then there were recommendations that came out that this board has actually done already, and there are others out there. And so the last time we brought this up, when we had our committee together, we had representation of teachers and principals and you name it, higher ed, and they said we've got to focus on school leadership because we have all this recruitment efforts and we're bringing all these people into the field and we're putting them with school leaders who feel overwhelmed and they don't know how to build out an induction program and handle behavior and make sure students are coming to school. And, they felt overwhelmed too. And so we put our focus on school leadership and worked with the Urban Schools Human Capital Alliance, which really helped us conduct 144 interviews with the help of our committee members for pre-service and currently experienced administrators. And the number one thing they said is, I need a mentor. Those who had 5+ years and those who had no experience said, I need a mentor. I need somebody who is my trusted source to talk about budget, to talk about legal issues, to talk about behavior, to talk about things I didn't know that I was going to have to talk about. And so that was united. That was the same whether they had years of experience or they didn't. There was this desire because it's a very lonely position. And so, and they needed help to retain their teachers and know how to invest in them and balance their time. So I'm definitely happy to help in any way because that's how we've always done it. It's not the continuum's work. We just coordinate the work of the members, which is why it's so important that the commissioner is our co-lead along with Dr. Thompson, along with the lieutenant governor. It doesn't belong just to one person. We just coordinate in the background, and it is a ton of coordinating. And we try to make sure we do it to fidelity. And we share the lived experiences. So when we look at the quantitative data, we say the why are the voices of Kentucky to tell us what works well and what is a challenge. And then those recommendations come forward not as a bite or a must, it's a consideration based on what we learned. So that is our methods, and happy to be a partner. And, this is really important, regardless of however it's led. It's an important piece, and we are always very open to supporting in any way and partnering. We don't want to lead it all. We want our members to lead, and which is why we have representation from this group alone. And so happy to have that discussion and be an active partner, and that's super important.
So a couple things just in response. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine, please.
Oh, that's okay. No, I wanted to just address some of the questions and pose a sort of counterpoint if I could. But as far as the selection of members, so the way the motion is currently drafted would be that the recommended membership would go to the chairs of each board and they would approve the membership. We have asked KDE staff to make recommendations for staff members who have expertise in the represented areas, as well as to make recommendations on key stakeholders, including teachers who would be representative of the work that's underway, particularly for the Vibrant Learning. We've talked with the Office of Teaching and Learning. Where do we have outstanding numeracy and literacy work underway, and making sure we have teacher representatives from those districts. But obviously, we can't have every relevant member join a group because they would become too large. And so sort of finding that balance to feel like we have different perspectives represented, but also a manageable group size. One thing I will say, and I agree the continuum serves an excellent purpose. I think if the concern is sort of the decentralization of the authority of EPSB, I would recommend that you consider this opportunity to partner with KBE, because you all will be the ones engaged in the analysis of the information brought to you. You will be able to make recommendations as board members who have the authority to make those policy decisions, and then bring forward, what emerges from that in a way that sort of has your imprint, your fingerprint on it. I think that the continuum does have a variety of members who represent a really broad set of agencies who have unique authorities as well. But there isn't an opportunity for all of the EPSB members and all of the state board members to be that close to the recommendations. And so there is an opportunity to sort of roll up your sleeves and dig in and really have that opportunity to engage more intentionally.
I have another point as a result of that. I do agree that looking for ways to collaborate with the board, with KBE, is something we should really consider. But perhaps instead of it being a lot of the outside membership, perhaps it's a small membership of our board and their board to then take these reports and collaboratively evaluate and look at them to determine what is ours, what is theirs, where can we collaborate, utilizing what is already out there, but also identifying an area where there is place for collaboration.
As a newcomer to the Commonwealth and my role at UK, I love the questions. I really appreciate the focus on what helps people stay. You know, strengths-based thinking versus deficit thinking, you know. So to me, again, is that through those newcomers' eyes, I'm not sure where the work comes from, but it's absolutely vital, and certainly at UK and our other institutions, we have, you know, folks who have devoted their professional careers to studying and learning about this, and that connectivity is really important from a big picture standpoint of, you know, there's research out of New Jersey and Oregon and wherever else that we can learn from, and as has been said, it's also often very context specific. You know, and I have worked with students that have said, I love it, but this isn't the spot for me, or I'm not able to work with this principal. And I say that as a former principal, and that hurts my heart. But there are so many contextual reasons. So I really defer to you all as the experts in all of the entities in the Commonwealth that are doing this work, but I think it is absolutely vital. And, you know, just as we're talking about student retention on our campuses, if we focused on retaining 2% more of our students rather than recruiting X percent more, how much do we move that needle by, you know, keeping folks that we know are very well qualified, you know, very respected in their communities, et cetera. So that's just what comes up for me as I listen.
And I completely agree. And I think that there's lots of questions we could ask. And so there were lots of different directions that this work could go. But I think we all agreed at the meeting that we had with KBE that everyone is concerned and committed about improving the health of the educator workforce, right? So we know that there are concerns and challenges facing our educator workforce, and it is the responsibility of both boards and the department to do what we can to help bolster the workforce. And I did want to address Dr. Mitchell's question. So part of the reason that this is such a wordy proposal is to address what you identified, which is in the past when we've sort of brought together representatives from both boards to sort of talk generally about topics, it's easy for it to just sort of become an opportunity to sort of problem admire and just sort of spin around in the big topics of the day. This is going to be a really focused effort that has a very intentional timeline. So those meetings will occur in January and early February, 3 to 4 virtual meetings, so that we can say, this is the timeline we are on. Here are the products that we're hoping to have emerge as this, so that we can stay focused, so that we can make sure that we have something to show for the work that we've put into it. That doesn't mean that we won't get off topic. I know that there's lots of interest in these questions in particular. It can be easy for us to all want to come and bring our unique perspective. But I think that we have at least attempted to provide structure so that we can stay on task. However, it is a lot of work to do these types of things, to Dr. Murphy's point. But I guess I just would like to say that I hope that you know that I have this board's best interest at heart, and that I will always advocate to make sure that the authority of EPSB is retained. And I hope that since my arrival in November, I've given you nothing but confidence that that is my intention. So our role in this is not to have someone else tell us what EPSB should or shouldn't do. It's so that you all are at the table and can have the role you should have in these conversations.
I'm not against the questions. I want to make sure that I'm clear about that. That I think the questions are great questions. I want the answers. I do believe there is research already out there to answer some of those questions that we just need to read it. It's there. I hear what you're saying, and I hope that we don't lose authority there, and that the whole thing of being collaborative is that it would be both groups working together, not one group over another and telling us what to do. And I hate to just say it, that is, in my experience, has been the case. And so that's why I've always tried to push back against us really forming a joint group, because it might start well, and then it's like, well, we want you or we need you to do this, and then we become the bad guy because we say, well, that doesn't fit our mission statement as an EPSB. And so I just want to make sure not only we maintain our own authority, but that we're at the same time following what we believe is our mission statement as a board, and not necessarily bowing down and giving it up to be like, okay, right, I'm just tired of having the conversation. So yes, we'll do whatever you want just for time's sake or to end the conversation. And so that's why I'm still really nervous about this. In all honesty, I know they're watching. I love them individually, but I'm just saying, as a board listening and looking on the outside, that is what I'm nervous about, because that is what I have seen over the past several years when we've tried to work together.
Well, and I think it too also points to why the CEC is so important. The ownership structure and the authority structure is not a function of CEC. CEC is a true collaborative nature that there is not a series or historical set of data for us to review and say there is concern around what influences folks want to have given the legislative mandates for each very separate group. And I'm not one to work in silos, but I think that's why when you have something that already exists, the consideration to say, can we please ask CEC for what have they done in these realms? What can they do in these realms? And then consider it before deciding that we're going to create another structure that's going to require staffing and also going to require reporting and then considering and then motioning. So they're good questions. It's great research.
So I'm just going to chime in from what I remember of our July meeting, and where these questions came from. CJ and I are very passionate, both of us, about we feel like we are good teachers. We feel like we are amazing teachers. And quite honestly, neither one of us want to be in administration. We want to stay in the classroom. And we've got to figure out a way as to why just being a teacher is not enough. Because when you hit those years of experience and the push is either up or out, how do we retain those amazing teachers in the classroom? What does that look like? And we also had conversations about how the past couple of years in the education profession we have felt like it is very much just an ongoing, what's going to happen? What are they going to say today, right? Almost an attack, right? And so how do we get proactive in looking for those strength-based solutions and going on the offensive of how do we keep great teachers? What do we do to motivate them? And then the last thing that I really very much remember from that conversation was to look to see what data we already have in place, whether it be at the universities for research. Does anybody have that research going on? The continuum was not something on my mind as much, in the fact that just not knowing enough about it. But so looking for what current research is out there, and how can we use that to leverage it to help ourselves be successful. So those were a lot of the three main conversations that I remember coming from that and led to these questions. From what I'm hearing, I'm curious. I'm going to make an assumption, although I tell my students not to do that. That we may not have moved forward with too much of the work, just in that it's not like officially stamped of we want our boards to proceed forth with this. So I'm wondering, and it's not in my script, so somebody correct me, okay? But if there could be something of a possibility of tabling this until the December meeting to see, and asking the continuum to maybe bring back, what research is already available and or has been presented, because I hear from multiple people that it's out there, but I don't know or remember what it is, and I don't know if us as a board as a whole remember that. So I by no means want to take more time out of my day to duplicate effort that I do not have time to do in the first place. But I do think that this work is important, and I do think those questions are valuable. And like you said, if we can just retain 2% more, man, what would our population of teachers look like? So I would be very curious if that's a possibility. I'm looking to my legal wording. Go ahead, Dr. Fletcher.
I want to make a comment before we look at the legal wording. Again, first year as commissioner, so I wasn't here in the past when some of these collaborative efforts may have happened. But the approach that's happened now has been more of how do we educate EPSB on their authority, and then also they understand that authority. And again, you guys are the experts, but also educating KBE on their authority. And then what is that overlap in the middle? So when you look at this collaborative, and I've sat in the meetings as an observer with both sets of chairs and vice chairs, and no one's sitting at the head of the table. Okay, I'll be very clear about that. It's about this is our authority, and this is where we overlap, and how can we get the arrows pointing in the same direction? Because when you go across the river, take it from someone who knows, you have to have a unified voice. You must have a unified voice. And I think that's one of the things that's an opportunity here, for us to have a unified voice with a unified message working together in order to have that. Now, maybe there's more research out there about what's available as answering these questions. I understand that. But I do want to put aside what I'm seeing so far. And anything can take a left turn or a right turn at any point. But so far, it's been this is the area that has our authority. This is the board's authority. I say EPSB versus KBE, but that focus has been that overlap. It hasn't been like we want to move, like none of our chairs have talked about dipping into the KBE authority, nor has KBE talked about dipping into the EPSB authority or taking control of that. So to me, it's been a very level, and again, no one's sitting at the head of the table. Except maybe Meredith was sitting at the head of the table once.
That's
I'm
right.
not sure. But again, there was a lot of educating each other and having open conversations about where we are, where we want to move. But again, having that unified voice. As we go through, I'm sure we'll learn more. But again, just wanted to make sure I talked about the meetings I've seen of the chair and vice chair at this point.
So one thing, we certainly can table the action today, and it is important that you all want to do this, and if you don't want to do it, then we won't do it. I mean, that is why it's brought to you today. I do want to just reiterate that the KBE already took action and approved it. So if we don't want to do this, then I would really challenge you all to think of a way that we can collaborate with the board, because they are asking to sit at the table with you and have conversations about how we can work together and have that unified voice in areas of interest to both boards, right? So again, to Dr. Fletcher's point, so where are those areas where it overlaps, and how can we be sure that we're advocating for those same priorities that we know benefit students and teachers across the Commonwealth? So if we don't do this, then I would say, what do you want to do to ensure that we maintain those channels of communication, and that we acknowledge that they exist and have authority, and you exist and have authority, and you both are under the support of the department, and how can we make sure that both boards are the strongest they can be and the most impactful?
Can I
You may.
throw something in?
I continue to advocate,
Oh.
sorry, that we start a little smaller than this. If we're going to start and do something, we start with some of us, some KBE, and then figure out what exists, what research is already out there, what do we already have, and then where are those gaps? And then that smaller committee collaborating to then decide collectively, this is maybe the step that we need to go.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. I think that it would be helpful for everybody to have a baseline of having somebody come in, a partner. There's lots of national folks who do this, and we have lots of fantastic higher ed who do research, active research around this, is to educate both boards at the same time. Talk about what we already know. What do our data already say? What does the research that's already taken place say? So we're not starting with assumptions or concerns, but really, what do we already know? And then it should drive the question, are these the right questions? Maybe these questions are going to be answered and we dig deeper into them, but I feel like that puts us on a more level playing field than everybody jumping in to start interviewing people. That is a lot of work, and we always started with research-based first on what's already known before we start jumping in to ask questions, because when you ask questions, you can already have bias around that, and that can skew some different directions. And I think the other thing is a combined is, what is the intended outcome? Like, I understand the output is the recommendations, makes perfect sense, but really, what does success look like? What does it look like for our board and for KBE? And there are different authorities, right? And so what would success look like if we did come together, we dug into this, we learned more, we talked to Kentuckians about this? What do we want to see? And is that the authority? My question is that the authority we have, or KBE, or anybody else outside the legislature? I don't know the answer. Or perhaps it's local decision on how they engage with that, because we have so much local control on engagement and how schools are run, that we could come out with fantastic ideas, but it doesn't mean that's going to be the change, right? So I almost think that we have to have a level playing field collectively. But when we get together, again, we're not just talking, but we're being educated on what research says, what do we know already, and then start to have conversations that's on the same, with the same basis. That would be my piece. And I think that would give us better direction and understanding of the roles and responsibilities. And perhaps then where the next steps come would be who wants to serve on that. So, because the other thing we have to watch out is quorum. So we can't all serve if we have too many people serving on a committee, and all the rules that Cassie and the team keeps us honest with, in KBE as well. So I don't know. And the other thing we have to also ask the question of is all the other organizations who are doing this work in the state. There are one-offs every time we turn the corner about this same exact topic, because we're all worried about it, and we haven't talked about that. And the advocacy and the lobbying that's already been going on, that beyond this board and KBE, lots of those stakeholders that, Meredith, I think you're referring to in that list, are doing lots of things. Whether they're good or not, I don't know. I'm familiar with them. I try to keep it clean and, research evidence-based. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not what's being shared. And so that's the other thing. We can't go in blind assuming nobody else is doing this, because there's a lot of people doing this. And so to the commissioner's point about going with the unified message, that has to include those stakeholders. Because if they are pushing a message and having credible influence and large membership, that matters. And the message matters. And so, and the ask matters. And so I think that's the other thing. If we really are going unified, it has to be bigger than these two boards. But really, what is the message and what is the ask? I think we have to clarify kind of where we're going. So my 2 cents.
Cassie, what do you recommend?
And, okay, can you hear me now? So I'm not going to make a recommendation here because I think that's ultimately, up to the board about how you want to go forward with this. I would just like to address a few of the notes that I've been jotting down here. My understanding of the proposal at this stage is that it would be the board approving your participation in this research practice collaborative. To have members from this board also appointed to the small committees, along with members from the KBE, and then the members from the various stakeholder groups. Staff would be working to staff those 3 committees, and yes, that it is a lot of work that will go into that, but given this expedited timeline here, this is not something where they're looking to necessarily do the research within that time frame, but to find the research that is out there. So those things that have been discussed that already exist, those would be brought before those small committees that are made up of EPSB, KBE, and stakeholders to look at that, to know what's there, to maybe, where this does have this time frame until April. That may be some additional asks of those committees that are fully established long-term committees. But there is nothing in your approval of this today that would require action from this board based on recommendations from those committees. It is just allowing your participation and furtherance of this. Again, it's not saying that we're going to go out and do this research and redo what another committee, another stakeholder group has done. It's that we're going to find that, we're going to gather that, and have that information for those small committees at their first meeting to discuss and then determine from there where they want to go. Then at the end is where a presentation would be made based on what has been discussed within those committees. So that's where, if you're looking at the document, that phase 4, that's where that presentation is going to come before both boards. And we do have some time before April where we could determine, is that something that happens in a setting, again, of both boards? Is that something that happens in 2 different meetings for you all? There's a lot of logistical considerations that would go into that, but nothing is within this requiring you to, if you were to approve it today, that doesn't mean that you are approving the recommendations from that committee. It doesn't mean that you are saying that you are taking action based on what happens or that you are giving anybody else your authority to take that action. It would simply be that you are approving the participation within this and the creation of those small committees to go forward. And then from there, we would ask members to, especially for those questions that you feel you're most passionate about, to volunteer for that, and staff would run with it of getting that information together, working on the logistics, and bringing that back to the chairs. Now, from the logistical points of today, you do have options. There is the very specific motion language that, again, retains your authority, retains the authority of Chair Snell to approve those appointments to the committees. If you did that, that would approve EPSB's participation in this research collaborative that KBE has approved their participation in. The second is if you do feel that there is some additional information, something that you really need considered before moving forward, you could defer consideration. Now, that would affect the timeline of this moving forward because right now the plan, should you approve, would be to immediately start getting those committee volunteers so that we could have committees up and running membership-wise, date set for January. But if with that deferral, you do have a virtual meeting in November that we could potentially add this to if there's something that you want to address. I just did want to make it clear that nothing in approving the motion as it is written out today would bind you to the recommendations of that committee.
And so the only thing I would add is that our ambassadors for their project this year, they are the ones that are doing the stay interviews. So regardless of your action on this, the stay interviews will proceed and we will have that data to look at, which I think is important. So the stay interviews are not contingent upon your approval of this.
I'll just jump in. I was trying to purposely stay a little quiet and let everyone share thoughts. Cassie, I think the clarifications you just made, I know you're not steering us into a action item here or lack of action. I think you're just giving clarification. I think those clarifications were important. I was myself going to say that this is not what any kind of joint statement we would make. I think we're going to have plenty of like making sure that we as a board are really on board with what we are saying, not just feeling like, here's your pen in your hand, you got to sign this thing, right? So we're making it clear that we're not attaching any action we may or may not take today does not impact what we would decide down the road, like in April or something. So I do think that's important. I was going to share that, so I'm glad you did. Beyond that, I want to thank our board members here. And I promise you, I'm not calling out specific people, but I'm just going to say, my dear friend, Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Murphy, I love that we are part of a board that does not just rubber stamp things. I hate being part of any kind of operational team that just feels like a rubber stamp machine. So I'm glad that we have board members who are willing to be vulnerable and share concerns. So I hope that's super clear. Like, I'm incredibly always thankful for that, which is why the two of you are so high up in my book of just important people in my life. With that said, I do think the commissioner's remarks about being an observer at some of these meetings, I think are earnest and fair. I can tell you also, just on behalf of like our team here, Chair Snell and I were super clear from the very beginning that we did have valid concerns from past experiences that infringement upon the independence of our board and what we are responsible for was a concern. And we did not mince words when we pretty much opened any joint effort we've had since we've kind of started our leadership here at this board, that was a top concern. And I do feel like I know that, you know, as Dr. Fletcher said, things can take a left or right turn at any moment, right? But I do feel earnestly that that has been heard and echoed, that they also believe that independence of our board authority is so important to them as well. And I 100% believe that Dr. Brewer, in her time since she's taken over, has been a fierce advocate for elevating what the EPSB does and is. In fact, I mean, just the fact, I mean, look at these things, right? Like our annual report, the positivity that I think is being associated with the incredible work this board does. I mean, I look around, I mean, and I do not say this to just make everyone feel great about themselves, but the composition of our board is just absolutely incredible. And I see this as an opportunity for anyone who wants to have an extra seat at the table or an extra voice in a process to do such that, right? I don't want to volunteer anyone to do anything because I know our plates are full. We do meet like every 3 weeks-ish, and a lot of us are actively teaching in the classroom and doing other things that take a lot of time. So I don't want this to feel like one more thing for someone, but I also love the idea that as I look around this table and I see all these amazing people, that any one of you could have a chance to, you know, have that seat at the table in these extra capacities. And I guess I just feel like Amber and I had a little chat in our car ride this morning. You say that phrase better. What was that? Hitching yourself to the train's going, right? Like, people are going to want these answers. This work's going to get done. It's more, do we as a board want to be part of that conversation and feel like we had an opportunity to be an equal partner and voice in the process? Or do we want to just let it go and then other people are, I don't know. I'm not saying that as eloquently as you did this morning, but I think the timeline feels good and that it's not this long-standing thing that's going to just go on forever. I think we also said the same thing. like, we don't want to duplicate research that's out there, right? So I think, again, Cassie made a good clarification that in this timeline, no one's expecting the research to happen. It's pointing to, oh, here is where this research is. Oh, here is where the continuum can be a partner, right? So I don't know. I want to make sure as a board we feel comfortable, and if after any comments that follow this, it's clear we don't still, I would definitely be in favor of tabling or deferring. But I personally myself would be okay moving forward with the clarifications that Cassie provided. That's just my personal take, not speaking on behalf of where I think we're heading. That was all I have to say at the moment.
So I've been on the board 5 years, and in the past 6 months, we've had more interaction with KBE than in all the rest of the time together, and I really enjoyed that. And I look forward to working with the board more in our role, but what that looks like, I'm hesitant about. This looks overwhelming for a start for us to come in and collaborate and figure out where in that Venn diagram we do actually overlap, because we are supportive of each other and we respect each other and retain separate authority. And so if we're going to come together, I would rather it be a smaller, more meaningful thing to start and then grow from there.
We can make
We make a motion.
a proposal to that effect. I think we would need to have some time to talk with Cassie about what that would look like. I know that there were some concerns when we had the joint meeting that it's hard to have meaningful conversations when everyone is together. So we
And
can,
actually, to add on that, I think this proposal kind of came as a result
That's
of
right.
what we felt like was not as effective use of our time.
right. Joint
Right.
meetings just are
Yes.
often,
Correct.
you know.
So this was a direct result
That's
of
right. That's right. But we can talk. So so Chair Snell, if you want to read the room as to what you feel like, and then we can come back with a proposal for November. I'm not really sure. They're laughing at me. I'm not really sure if you want to take a formal vote. Cassie, I'm not sure. What is the process to sort of determine if we table or not? Is the motion to defer?
No motion's been made.
Oh, okay.
So someone could make a motion for the original proposal, or
I
someone
should
could
never
make a
be trusted
motion
with
to
a microphone.
You've got meetings, don't you?
So yes, you do have the language before you if you want to take the motion to defer at this time, and we can kind of synthesize all of this feedback and see if there's something to bring back to you in November to discuss that. If that's how you feel that you want to go at this time, then it would just be when Chair Snell asks for the motion and just take a motion to defer action item B.
I make the motion to defer.
The motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion before the board is to defer this to, I'm going to say the November meeting. Is that appropriate? Okay. All right. To the November meeting. Is there any discussion? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right. Thank you. We next have action item C presented by Dr. Diebel.
Hello, these should be very, very easy. Dr. Jennifer Bay Williams is here as the AAC person, but I'm gonna let her sit back there. We have two items up here, and you heard about Eastern Kentucky University and Lindsey Wilson University, and so I think these will be an easy vote for you. Dr. Jennifer Bay Williams is the chair of the AAC, and she is here if there are any questions. So our first item is the CAPE Accreditation Council met on April 27, 2025, made the accreditation decision and found all standards were met by the EPP at Eastern Kentucky University for the initial and advanced programs. The letter of approval was sent on May 22nd, 2025 to the institution. On June 9th, 2025, the AAC met, reviewed the initial and advanced programs for Eastern University. 16 KR 5010 requires EPPs to submit each of their program review documents for review prior to its on-site accreditation visit. Eastern Kentucky University submitted their programs and received written notification of the results of the program review. Pursuant to 16 KAR 5010, Section 19, the AAC recommends approval of the initial and advanced level educator preparation programs at Eastern Kentucky University.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve action item C.
Thank you so much. Do I have a second? Captain Rosinski, thank you. The motion before the board is to approve action item C. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes. Thank you so much, and congratulations to Eastern Kentucky University. Go Colonels. I am an eternal colonel. That's where all of my degrees have come from, possible future degrees.
I'm a
like,
one-time.
I couldn't get away for a while. Next, we have action item D, also presented by Dr. Diebel.
Okay, this is the same move, it's Lindsey Wilson University. So the Cape Council Accreditation Council met April 27th, 2025, and made the accreditation decision and found all standards were met by the EPP at Lindsey Wilson University for their initial programs. A letter of approval was sent on May 22nd, 2025 to the institution. The AAC on June 9th, 2025, again reviewed the initial programs for Lindsey Wilson University 16 KR 5010 requires EPPs to submit each of their program review documents for review prior to its on-site accreditation visit. Lindsey Wilson University submitted their programs, received written notification of the results of the program review, and pursuant to 16 KR 5010, Section 19, the AAC recommends the approval of the initial level educator preparation programs at Lindsey Wilson University.
I move to approve action item D.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Deakins. Thank you, Ms. Keller. The motion before the board is to approve action item D. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Congratulations to Lindsey Wilson University. I have to say, I've always known you as Lindsey Wilson College. So like earlier when I was introducing you, I was like, Cassie never makes typos. Like, is that? And so like, that's what the pause was. I was like, wait a second, this says university. So I appreciated that being in your presentation, and congratulations on that. The board is now ready to review waiver requests. KRS 161-0281N provides that the board has the authority to waive its administrative regulations when a request is submitted by an applicant for certification, a post-secondary institution, or a superintendent of a local school district. When requesting a waiver, the requesting party must submit to the board a written request along with the appropriate justification for the waiver. EPSB staff reviewed the waivers with EPSB's waiver committee during an open meeting immediately prior to this meeting, and the waiver committee formulated recommendations. Brendan Herod and Sharon Salzman will present the waiver requests to the board, and the waiver committee chair, Kathy Gunn, will present the committee's recommendation for final action. Starting with waiver A, presented by Ms. Sharon Salzman. Yep, by you. Welcome to the table.
Thank you, Chair Snell, and good morning to you and the board. So we'll start with waiver A. And so waiver A was submitted by Western Kentucky University. They are seeking to place a student in their LBD program with a cooperating teacher that only has 2 years. As you may know, a cooperating teacher has to have 3 years of teaching experience before they're eligible. So they're asking to waive that one additional year.
Thank you. Ms. Gunn, did the waiver committee make a recommendation?
Yes, the waiver committee reviewed the waiver submitted by WKU and found exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver. Therefore, the committee recommends that we grant waiver A.
Thank you so much. I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the waiver.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. The motion before the board is to approve waiver A. Is there any discussion?
Chair Snell, I am abstaining.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Next, we have waiver B.
Waiver B is submitted by the University of Kentucky, seeking an alternative student teaching placement for Alex Cornett. Alex Cornett is in the Masters of Arts in Teaching World Language program. They are also in the Japanese program inside of that program. And they're having a hard time finding a placement at the middle school level for Japanese. So they're seeking in a secondary level placement.
Thank you. Ms. Gunn, does the waiver committee have a recommendation?
Yes, the waiver committee recommends that EPSB grant waiver B.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant waiver B.
Thank you, Ms. McKinnon. Is there
I
a second?
second. Mayfield.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield.
Chair Snell, I will recuse myself.
Chair Snell, I will also recuse myself.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, the motion before the board is to approve waiver B. No more discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Next, moving to waiver C.
Waiver C is very similar, also submitted by the University of Kentucky from Megan Sullivan, who is in the Master's of Arts in Teaching World Languages program and is pursuing Latin. They are also having a difficulty finding Latin at the middle school level and are asking for that placement to be at the secondary level.
Thank you so much. Ms. Gunn, what is the waiver committee's recommendation?
We're on page 82 if anyone needs to know, and the waiver committee did find exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver and recommends EPSB grant waiver C.
Thank you so much. I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve waiver C.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Dr. Murphy.
I will recuse.
The motion before the board is to approve waiver C. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Waiver C is approved. Next, we have waiver D.
Waiver D was submitted by Lindsey Wilson University. They are seeking to waive 5 days of the required 70 days for one of their student teachers student teachers that had a medical emergency, and there is a documented note from the doctor requesting that to be isolated for those 5 days.
Thank you so much. Ms. Gunn, did the waiver committee make a recommendation?
Yes, the committee found exceptional circumstances justifying the waiver. Therefore, the committee recommends EPSB grant this waiver.
Thank you so much. I need a motion.
Move to approve waiver D.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McKinnon. The motion before the board is to approve waiver D. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Waiver D passes. Next, we have waiver E with Ms. Sharon Salzman. At this point, thank you so much, Mr.
All right, so this one is a waiver for the certified teaching experience for admission to the Director of Special Education for Casey Hampton. Morehead State University has submitted this waiver. She is a candidate for admission to the Director of Special Education program, and the requirement for the minimum of 1 year of experience as a teacher of exceptional children or school psychologist. She has served as a middle school assistant principal for the past 2 years and as an elementary principal for 5 years. She has also completed 232 professional development and training hours in special education and leadership instruction. She serves as the Admission and Release Committee Chairperson, the 504 Chairperson, and the Multi-Tiered System of Supports Chairperson for the district. So Morehead State University is requesting that the EPSB accept Ms. Hampton's experience to allow her to be admitted to the preparation program.
Thank you so much. Ms. Gunn, did the committee make a recommendation?
Yes, the waiver committee reviewed the waiver request submitted and recommends that EPSB grant the waiver.
Thank you so much. I need a motion.
I make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Captain Rosinski. The motion before the board is to approve waiver E. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Waiver E passes. Next, we have waiver F.
So this is to waive certification grade range. Mercer County Schools has submitted a waiver request on behalf of Carmen Sally, a certified elementary education teacher with 6 years of experience. The district states they are experiencing a shortage of qualified teachers, particularly in core subjects such as math. They have partnered with 3 universities to encourage option 9 as an alternative route to teacher certification. They've made numerous attempts to recruit and hire qualified mathematics teachers. While these have increased visibility, the number of fully certified applicants remain insufficient. So Mercer County Schools is requesting the EPSB waive the grade range for elementary certification to allow Miss Sally to teach 6th grade.
Thank you so much. Ms. Gunn, does the waiver committee have a recommendation?
Yes, the committee recommends that the EPSB grant waiver F.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant waiver F.
Thank you, Ms. McKinnon. Do I have a second?
Second.
I think that was Dr. Pace. Thank you so much. The motion before the board is to approve waiver F. Is there any discussion?
Chair Snell, I will recuse.
Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you so much. Moving on to waiver G.
So this is to waive renewal requirements. So the Office of Career and Technical Education has submitted this waiver on behalf of Bruce Williams, who's a fire rescue teacher. He has enrolled in classes for the fall 2025 semester, and they state there was confusion due to Mr. Williams transitioning from adjunct to occupational certification, which happened during an administration transition at Jefferson Community and Technical College. He started in the New Teacher Institute, but was shifted to year 2 of NTI during year 1 due to his years of experience. He thought he would be contacted regarding starting classes, but he wasn't. So he plans to complete his associate's degree as soon as possible. And he is only missing his general education classes. So Office of Career and Technical Education is requesting that the EPSB waive the requirement of 6 credit hours and issue the 1-year provisional certificate.
Thank you so much. Ms. Gunn, what is the waiver committee's recommendation?
The committee recommends that the EPSB grant the waiver.
Thank you so much. I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the waiver.
Thank you, Captain Rosinski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. The motion before the board is to approve waiver G. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next, we have waiver H.
So this is to waive renewal limits. So the Office of Career and Technical Education has submitted this waiver on behalf of Ingram Warren for occupation-based certification for engineering technology. Mr. Warren's original hire date was in the middle of the school year, so his certificate expires December 31st of this year. They are requesting that Mr. Warren be allowed to finish out this school year by extending his certificate through May of 2026 because he will be retiring at the end of this school year. So OCTE is asking that the EPSB waive the renewal limit and issue Mr. Warren an occupation-based certification for engineering technology.
Ms. Gunn, did the waiver committee make a recommendation?
Yes, and this one begins on page 109 if anyone needs that. And yes, the waiver committee recommends EPSB grant the waiver.
Thank you so much. I need a motion.
A motion to approve waiver.
Thank you, Mr. Yoder. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, CJ. The motion before the board is to approve waiver H. Is there any discussion?
I would just make a recommendation that the certificate expire on June 30th. That way, if snow or weather take us into June. I know we said May in there. That way it gets them through the end of June.
Hearing no other discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next, we have waiver I.
So this is to waive emergency certification requirements. Warren County Schools has been unsuccessful in finding qualified teachers for family and consumer science. The district states there were no other viable candidates, and the candidate is enrolled in courses to help raise her GPA and subsequently applying for option 6 in family and consumer science. She's also participating in the in-house mentoring program at the high school and contributes to after-school programs and activities. The district is requesting that the EPSB waive the required GPA and issue an emergency certificate.
Thank you. Ms. Gunn, does the waiver committee have a recommendation?
Yes, the committee recommends the EPSB grant this waiver.
All right. Thank you so much. I need a motion.
I make the motion to approve waiver I.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Captain Rosinski. The motion before the board is to approve waiver I. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Waiver I is approved. Next, we have waiver J.
So this is to waive out-of-state GPA requirements. So this candidate is seeking a professional certificate for biological science. She states her GPA reflects a period of personal hardship during her college years and not her true potential. She has 9 years of teaching experience with a wide range of courses, including end-of-course biology, forensic science, medical microbiology, and AP biology. The candidate states that her teaching is her calling and the most fulfilling work she's done. The candidate requests that the EPSB waive the out-of-state GPA requirement and issue her the full 5-year Kentucky certificate.
Ms. Gunn, did the waiver committee make a recommendation?
Yes, the waiver committee reviewed the waiver request submitted, and the committee recommends EPSB grant waiver J.
Thank you so much. I need a motion.
I make the motion to approve waiver waiver J.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. The motion before the board is to approve waiver J. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next, we have waiver K.
So this is to allow educational leadership coursework for a rank 1. So Sarah Wallace, she is a professional certificate for elementary education and an endorsement for teacher leader. She would like to apply for a rank 1 based on the completion of 54 hours from the Doctor of Education program in educational leadership from the University of the Cumberlands. This program is not an EPSB approved program, but she states that she believes the program has directly and meaningfully strengthened her effectiveness as a teacher and leader within her elementary school. She explains that the merger of the School of Leadership Studies and the School of Education, the intent of this program is firmly rooted in K-12 practice, and her own work within the program has consistently been centered on elementary education. So she is requesting the EPSB grant her rank 1 based on the completed coursework.
Thank you so much. Ms. Gunn, does the waiver committee have a recommendation?
This one begins on page 197. The waiver committee reviewed the waiver request submitted by the applicant. The committee did not find exceptional circumstances to justify the waiver. Therefore, the committee recommends that EPSB deny the waiver request.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion
Two.
to deny.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Collier. So we have a motion to deny the waiver request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McKinnon. The motion before the board is to deny the waiver request K. Is there any discussion?
I have to recuse myself from this one.
Obviously, our waiver committee does excellent work, so thank you all for that. So we don't need to rehash things out, but could we get like a Cliff Notes?
You
Is
know
that okay?
I do. The program was not approved by EPSB. Even before the other programs merged, they were not approved. The candidate was notified in November of 2024 via email that the program was not approved, and the focus of her degree is higher ed. Cliff Notes.
Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted.
Any other discussion? All right, the motion before the board is to deny waiver K. All those in favor of denying waiver K, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Waiver K is denied. Moving on to waiver L.
Okay, this one is to allow Master of Science in Clinical Mental Health Counseling for rank 1. Leslie Wood has a professional certificate for learning and behavior disorders and an endorsement for gifted education. She also holds a bachelor's degree in LBD and a master's in general education. She states she completed a second master's degree in clinical mental health counseling, an 80-hour program accredited by the Council of Accreditation of Counseling and Related Educational Programs. She does not hold school counselor certification, and this program is an out-of-state program that is not approved by the EPSB. So she is requesting that the EPSB grant her rank 1 based on this program.
Ms. Gunn, what was the waiver committee's recommendation?
We're starting on page 228, and the waiver committee recommends that EPSB deny this waiver request.
Thank you so much. I need a motion.
Make the motion to deny.
Okay. The motion is
Second.
to deny waiver L. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you so much, Captain Rosinski. The motion before the board is to deny waiver L. Is there any discussion?
Yes, if they can kind of tell us why you all denied.
It was again not approved by the EPSB, and it was out of state, and she is not certified as a counselor. She's LBD, and her general ed is, her master's is in general ed, so it doesn't further her current position.
Thank you.
I also feel like it's worth just putting out there on public record, because I know these situations can be very, I mean, we're talking about someone's income and livelihood and the work they put in. We obviously don't take joy in not, letting people get rank changes that they feel like they're entitled to, but also there is a system in place to understand what does and does not count. And I know when we make exceptions, we start opening the slippery slope of, well, I want this thing to count. And so just for anyone who is kind of listening, I think that's an important just footnote to put out there for everyone.
And all additional education is valuable. I mean, there's no
Without a
question
doubt.
about that. So just may have to change positions.
Well, and it's an obligation of higher ed institutions to participate in the process and get
Yes.
their programs approved. Sorry, WKU.
But 100%.
All right, the motion before the board is to deny waiver L. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Waiver L is denied. Last, we have waiver M.
So this one is to allow Masters in Management Consultancy for Rank 2. So Orphelina Vega holds a professional certificate for Spanish. She completed a master's degree at the University of Havana, Cuba in Management Consultancy. She states the focus of the study was on identifying the causes affecting the teaching and learning process in middle and high school education. So she requests that the EPSB allow her master's degree to meet the requirements for issuance of Rank 2.
Ms. Gunn, what is the waiver committee's recommendation?
We're on page 242, and the waiver committee reviewed the applicant paperwork and found that EPSB, we recommend that they deny the waiver.
Okay. Thank you so much. I need a motion.
Make a motion to deny the waiver.
Thank you, Mr. Fryer. The motion before the board is to deny waiver M. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Yoder. Once again, the motion before the board is to deny waiver M. Is there any discussion?
I'll go ahead and give the summary. The master's is in management consultancy, and she currently works as a bilingual instructional assistant. And the program that she completed was in Cuba and is not an approved program.
I will just throw out, as someone who came to the profession with 2 undergraduate degrees that were not in education with a master's of business, the staff here was phenomenal in helping me figure out what was the most efficient route for me to become a teacher, and that was the Option 6 program in math and social studies. And it wasn't that my MBA was discounted, but upon completing that program, what do I need to do to help that other masters be recognized? And that was to go back and complete some additional coursework to be certified in, to be able to teach business and technology 5 through 12. And in doing so, I now have my rank 1 to recognize those other hours. So there are ways to make that happen. And the staff here is phenomenal at answering and looking at unique situations and doing that. So.
And I'll echo what you just said, because I had the exact same experience, different category, but same thing. And actually, I was the first one to get my rank 1 after listening to EPSB, and the university then changed their recruiting, and now they say it's a rank 1 program. I did that. But I had to go back and take 3 additional classes and add education to the 60-hour master's I had when I started teaching.
So
We
it's
do
not-
listen.
So it's not that we don't value those additional degrees, but figuring out how to best suit them into the needs that we need within the educational system.
And it took 7 years for me to figure out how to make it work. So I understand the pain of not having your rank 1 when you have a 60-hour master's. I do.
Okay. So the motion before the board, just to recap, is to deny waiver M. We've had some discussion. I'm assuming there's no more. All those in favor of denying waiver M say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Waiver M is denied. We have 4 alternative route certification applications. These applicants are pursuing the option 1, exceptional work experience route certification. This is one of the alternative routes established by the legislature in KRS 161048. An applicant with exceptional work experience must have a bachelor's or graduate degree meeting minimum GPA requirements and an academic major or passing score on the academic content assessment in the area in which certification is being sought. The board will need to determine if the applicant's work experience constitutes exceptional work experience. The applications are presented by Ms. Sharon Salzman.
So this one is for Brittany Johnson for option 1 in dance, which is primary through grade 12. So she has been dancing since she was 6 and has over 4 years of experience as an instructor of dance. She has trained primarily in modern, ballet, and jazz and has been exploring Afrobeats and hip hop. She has experience in dance performance, being an advisor, an instructor, and choreographer. She has a bachelor's of arts in dance and a bachelor of science in family science.
At this time, I will need a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Yoder. The motion before the board is to approve application A. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application A is approved. Next is application B.
So this one is for Samantha Mueller, and this is for health and physical education, all grades. She has over 9 years of experience in health and physical education related fields. She has experience as an exercise physiologist at a rehabilitation center, is a medical service corps officer with the Kentucky Army National Guard, and serves as a coach at Orange Theory Fitness. She's responsible for educating, encouraging, and building strength in patients through exercise. She creates an environment that is welcoming to all. She's also responsible for coordinating and managing platoon and company operations, collaborates with staff to oversee all medical operations, plans and executes as a coach, and also possesses several certifications and awards. She has a Bachelor of Arts in Exercise Science, a Master of Science in Kinesiology, and Health Promotion Exercise Physiology.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Collier. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. The motion before the board is to approve application B. Is there any discussion?
I just want to go on record and say my support is a function of the 2 degrees and the work as an exercise physiologist and as well as the medical service corps.
Hearing no other discussion, the motion before the board is to approve application B. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application B is approved. Next is application C.
All right, this one is for Siaka Traore for Business and Marketing Education, grades 5 through 12. He has 1 year experience in the area of economic development and business. He has experience with the Kentucky League of Cities as an economic development specialist intern, where he conducted an impact study assessing the effectiveness of municipal programs and initiatives across Kentucky cities. He assisted in preparing reports and presentations that supported the organization's mission of enhancing local government and community development. He also served as a marketing assistant for SODIB CI Industrial Company, designing and executing market strategies, conducting market research to assess demand patterns, consumer behavior, and competitor strategies. He has a bachelor's degree in business administration and a master's degree in economic development.
At this time, I'll need a motion.
I make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Captain Rosinski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lori. The motion before the board is to approve application C. Is there any discussion?
Is there anything beyond graduate assistant and intern and student worker?
Not in
Year
what-
of experience?
Being from a higher ed side, I'm not seeing anything from this candidate that would distinguish itself as exceptional work experience for someone with this work history.
If I'm not mistaken, it says just the 1 year of work experience, and then the rest is all as a graduate assistant at the university level.
Not that I don't value that. I very much value graduate.
Not to put you on the spot, but can you think of any precedent of recent similar-ish applications that we've? Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the current motion on the board with a second is to approve application C.
Can we have some more discussion before you call
Sure.
a vote? I mean, Dr. Murphy, are you at the point where you're just putting it out there to think about, or are you actually maybe?
No, I won't, I would, if the motion moves forward as the current approval, I would be saying no.
Okay.
So I guess to clarify, there's a few ways forward here if there are, because I'm seeing quite a few concerned faces around the table. So if overall the board's feeling is, with the deeper dive into this, that you do not wish to approve this application, then the maker of the motion and the seconder could withdraw the original motion, and then you would have the ability for a motion to deny and a second for that. But that is up to, I believe the maker of the motion was Captain Rosinski.
And Ms. McKinnon was the second, I believe.
I'm happy to withdraw my motion.
I'm happy to withdraw my second.
Okay. Motion
Make a
to
motion
approve
to
has been
deny.
withdrawn. I hear Dr. Murphy with a motion to deny
Not happily,
application
just
C. All right.
standard
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. So the motion before the board now is to deny application C. Is there any further discussion?
Can we articulate a recommendation that he do or the applicant do an option 6 program?
Yeah.
I see no reason that wouldn't fit in a space.
So I think just in that communication of the denial of the application to follow up with a recommendation to the option 6 program.
All right, so I see that there's a degree in accounting and then a Master of Science in Economic Development. So I would, if this is denied.
There's a pathway
Yes.
for it. You just gotta
Yes.
do a little bit more.
It's just not option 1.
All right, so any further discussion? All right. The motion before the board is to deny application C. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application C is denied. Last is application D.
So this one is for Emma Irwin for teaching theater only, primary through grade 12. She has 10 years of experience as a musical theater performer, stage manager, choreographer, assistant director, and director. She has experience in theater performance, teaching theater styles and theories, executing choreography and staging for different theatrical pieces, scripts, songs, and connecting community engagement into lessons in art performed and created. She has a Bachelor of Arts degree in theater with a certificate in musical theater.
Is there a motion?
I move to support, approve, whatever the way.
Approve application D. Okay, Dr. Murphy has a motion to approve application D.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Gudd. The motion before the board is to approve application D. Is there any discussion?
Do we have an indicator of how full-time those 10 years of experience are in theater?
Let's see. No. She doesn't say.
Just reading through some of the other pieces of the application, I wonder if it is very part-time.
It's because she's been working as a nanny for the last few years.
Well, there's that overlap, but there's also then like comments about, and I was also doing this with other schools. So how many jobs could she have at one time?
Some of us have a lot of jobs, my friend.
I get
Any questions or discussion? Again, the current motion before the board is to approve application D. Hearing no other comments or questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Application D is approved. I will now open the floor to any board member for board comments. Does anyone have anything they wish to share?
We just ask that maybe Sharon in the inquiries on these, that they clarify whether they're full-time or part-time in their roles that they're presenting for exceptional.
I'll just add that the EPP Spotlight has become my new favorite part of our meetings. So thank you for the great presentation. You and Dr. Dickens set the bar high for the next EPPs that will be before us, but I really just do like celebrating the awesome work that's happening in our Commonwealth. So huge shout out to our EPPs, and I love the shout out to our in-house team that gives all the support to the EPPs.
Hearing no one else at this time, I believe we're ready to go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61810(1)C and J to conduct a character and fitness review and to review potential actions relating to complaints and reports. The board will also review pending litigation. At this time, I need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion.
It's like class in second period, guys. Goodness gracious. All right, I think I heard Dr. Ellis with the motion and Ms. Gunn with the second. The motion before the board is a motion to go into closed session. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are now ready to move into closed session. At this time, I will need a motion to go back into open session.
Jackie Mayfield, I make the motion to go back in open session.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. Do I have a second?
Second.
I heard Dr. Pace. The motion before the board is a motion to go back into open session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are now back in open session. At this time, we will vote on those items discussed during closed session. For character and fitness, cases 1 through 3, we approve. Substitute character and fitness, cases 1 through 5, approve. Case 6, deny. 7, approve. 8, deny. 9 and 10, approve. 11, deny. 12 and 13, approve. 14, deny. On the agreed orders, we accept all agreed orders. On the recommended orders, we accept the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and the recommended order. And for the educator cases, case 1, approve PRC agreed order. 2 and 3, further investigation. 4, approve PRC agreed order. 5, dismiss without prejudice. 6 through 8, further investigation. Number 9, admonish. 10 and 11, dismiss with prejudice. 12, further investigation. 13, approve PRC agreed order. 14, further investigation. 15 and 16, approve PRC agreed order. 17 and 18, further investigation. 19 through 21, dismiss with prejudice. 22 through 24, initiate a hearing.
CJ Fryer, yes to all.
Lisa Rodzinsky recuse on agreed order number 14, yes to the remainder.
Scotty Collier, yes to all.
Lori McKinn, recuse on educator case 24, yes to all the others.
Priscilla Taylor, yes to all.
Jacqueline Mayfield, yes to all.
Elizabeth Jenkins, yes to all.
Amanda Ellis, yes to all.
Mike Yoder, yes to all.
Nick Pace, yes to all.
Kathy Gunn, yes to all.
Justin Mitchell, yes to all.
Amber Snell, yes to all. At this time, I will need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. The motion before the board is a motion to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none and seeing you all again in about 3 weeks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. We are now adjourned.